This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Our moody, stormy start to our day has given way to the most glorious sunshine on the perfect summer's afternoon. For a safari, it promises to be really, really good. There's a few bulky clouds that will maybe bring a storm a little bit later, but otherwise, conditions are absolutely perfect, and we hope you'll enjoy your live African safari. Good afternoon, everybody.
Sorry about that, guys. I want to say hello. Hi, everyone. It's me, Trishala, and I have Theo on camera with me this afternoon in Dune Game Reserve. You caught me just as I was about to check my tire, so you're just going to have to bear with me while I jump off. All looks good. All looks good. So, welcome aboard, everyone. I'm glad to have you. I'm sure Tristan has told you all about how to communicate with us. Hashtag Wild Earth After FC on the YouTube chat stream, as well as the question box on our website. You just go and sign up. It is warm today, so we're going to do a bit of a dam patrol. As usual. It's always nice to spend time at the dams because you never know what's going to come down and have a drink. So plan, apart from the dam, is of course to check out the den. Today's the 13th of December? Yes, it is. So the 15th is our last day, Tristan and I, and then for the stint. So I have got to see June's cub by that time. Or at least I hope that I will see the cub by that time. Oh, that looks like a great patch of shade. Look at that patch of shade. It's just magnificent. Anyway, as we head down to Treehouse Dam to start with, I'd like to mention to you about the Wild Earth Explorers. You can go onto our website and learn about all the exciting things that are going on for us and what that means for you. Go there, sign up, and become an explorer. We'd love if you did. Everything is dried up quite nicely, so it's sandy, or sandy enough rather, to see tracks. Still not great, but if they're fresh tracks, it's quite easy to tell because you'll be able to tell if they were from before or after the rain. So either they're from this morning or after. And that's a really nice indication. A nice little timestamp. But so far, no tracks. Ooh, feels like I want to move from point of shade to another point of shade. But I think all of this heat will ease the next few days when there's going to be heaps of rain, or so the weather forecast says, but you know these things, especially for this area. I probably have better luck forecasting the weather by pulling more, random temperatures out of a hat, and rain or no rain out of a hat, than to follow the weather apps. All right, so let me send you back over to Tristan while I get to Treehouse Dam.
Well, let's try this again because just now I don't know what happened, but anyway, we'll try and say hello properly this time. As you can see, we've got a nice little herd of kudu that are looking magnificent after the rain. They're shining, their coats are in good condition, and generally look really good because of the summer vegetation. Now, my name is Tristan. On camera, I've got Johan this afternoon, and it is a very warm welcome to Djuma. Well, I say warm because it's gotten hot since the sun's come out, and sitting in the sun has certainly got a little bit of a spike to it, but it's a beautiful, beautiful afternoon from what we started with this morning, which was that moody, rainy, kind of cloudy weather, to what we have now, which is these blue skies, these little white puffy cumulus clouds, and bright green. It seems like the bush has rejuvenated after the heat of the last few days. It's starting to get a brownish tinge to it. With that little bit of rain we've had this morning, everything looks lush and green again this afternoon. And like I say, even these kudu, all their markings look prominent and bright. Their coats are shining, and they all just look in really, really good condition at the moment, which is wonderful to see, because obviously in the winter months it's quite tricky for kudu, particularly because they are browsing animals. So you sometimes find in winter their coats become a little bit, it almost looks as though they become, I don't know what the word is for it, but it becomes wiry almost, the coat, and they start to lose condition a little bit. The hips start to show. But now, after a few months of decent rain and really nice vegetation, everything about them looks absolutely magnificent. Now, it's quite typical what we see here, which is a kind of group of cows with their young ones. You would have seen that little young male. He's in amongst them. So he's still too small to be on his own. Even though he's quite tall and quite a big animal, he's not old. He's not even remotely close to breeding age yet. So he's probably only about 1.5 to 2 years old. He's still very, very small. Most kudus are only actually starting to compete for mating rights when they get to about 5. So he's got a while to go before he's going to be in that category. And so until then, he often stays with his natal grouping. So stay close by to mom, and she'll just have new little ones in the season as it goes. And he'll just be kind of a part of the group. And as he starts to get a little bit older, then he starts to go out and he'll form little bachelor herds with other male kudu. Beautiful animals, though. And it's amazing how they blend in when you actually see them kind of going in behind the trees. You can see why that striping pattern on them is prominent. It just really helps with the dappled light. So, I mean, if you take away his head and you don't watch the head, the striping and the kind of rest of the body blends in super well, particularly if they don't move too much. If they're quite mobile like those two are, then it's not as easy to be able to see them. All right, we're going to carry on. We're going to leave our kudu to themselves. We're going to probably head off to the east and southeast, go and try and scratch around, see what we can find. In the meantime, it sounds like Taylor's having a pool party up at Pridelands.
Except for the fact that Sebastian and I are not in the water with the elephants, but the sun has finally pushed through all the clouds and the wind has stopped, which is awesome because this morning was quite miserable. Not that we got any rain like Djuma did, but it did look quite gloomy. My name is Taylor McCurdy, and on camera with me, as I mentioned earlier, is Sebastian, and we are here at Pridelands Conservancy, which is part of Ululi Game Reserve and the Greater Kruger National Park, and we are indeed having a pool party at none other than Ndlovu Dam. Yes, you guessed it. I mean, I bet you all shout that when you see me now, because this is where I basically live. I wish I could just build myself a little tree house up here somewhere. I'd be quite happy to live amongst the elephants. You can see all the boys having a grand old time, as they normally do. I think that everyone's hoping that we're going to have some rain too, to just top up the water levels. They're subsiding quite quickly. It's amazing how these dams dry up. But with the ellies swimming and swimming, they're just creating deeper furrows. And they now seem to be swimming more so on the sort of southern corner. Normally they're up a little bit further ahead of where they are. And then, of course, if you look very carefully to the left, but you have to really use your imagination, that is not a mud bank, that is not a rock, but that is indeed the hippopotamus, who becomes frightened of the elephants and then pretends that he is a rock. He just hides there and lets the other animals come quite close to him, but we'll see, because the bulls are heading straight in his direction now. I hope that he doesn't just put his head underwater. I hope he sort of opens his mouth and thrashes about, because that is quite entertaining. Let's see, there's those elephants on the right had their trunks up and were sniffing towards him. They've now stopped to have a drink of water after the kufu filling. You must remember to hydrate. I'd love to know what this water actually tastes like. I'm always so tempted, but I think I would get very sick. RJ, yep, everybody loves a pool party, and especially when it's at Pridelands, it's normally the best kind. That's so awesome to see. This morning I actually had one of my best elephant sightings. I'll tell you, seeing as though we're looking at elephants. Unfortunately, we couldn't show you live. Oh, there goes the hippo. He's not having any of it. He's submarining. Off he goes. He pushed off the bottom of the water and now is speeding along. You can see him just floating there. I'll tell you my story in a minute. Hello, boy. The elephant's causing too much trouble for you. And under he goes. So we actually encountered Susan's herd. So Susan is an elephant. She's one of my favorite elephants. She is my favorite elephant. Real life elephant. And they were feeding in the thicket. So Seb and I decided, after we had a nice sighting with the lioness, to just wait for them, and they came out eventually. And normally Susan gives us a bit of trouble, as these young bulls would, when it comes to vehicles. But the matriarch and another older female came up, and they stopped literally half a meter away from my vehicle, and then just stopped. And the two of the youngsters came down, had a sleep next to the car. And before I knew it, the whole herd was around us. It was such a peaceful sighting. It was amazing. Like, this is obviously great because they're all interacting. But everybody just came around and just stood so still. And a couple of the cows had a bit of a dust bath. It was so graceful. I don't know. It was really amazing. If you're feeling down and glum, Seb and I had that feeling removed from us completely. It was such a great therapy session. And then they moved off after about 10-15 minutes or so. It was so good. So those sightings are few and far between when that happens, especially at such close proximity. And Susan didn't give us 1 ounce of nonsense, which was amazing. She's normally quite sassy. And it's kind of the same thing that we're experiencing with the boys, except we've got the nice tranquil sounds of, well, no, not the tranquil sounds of a Land Rover starting. But when that vehicle moves on off, it'll be quite nice just to hear the splashing of the elephants. Sorry, everybody. Typical audio issues. Hopefully they will be resolved soon. There we go. The rumbling of the engine should soon stop as the vehicle leaves the sighting. It'll just be us here now. We've got a team from Eco Training that have gone out on a walk. They're doing tracking and trailing at the moment. Another team preparing for their assessment drives for their apprentice field guides qualification. They've got to do their practical. And there was another vehicle out here just on safari also watching. But everybody has almost left. it seems like it's a day filled with animals that enjoy the water. Nick has got a hippo.
Sorry about that, guys. I'm sure we're getting Gala back soon. But we took a chance and came past the... Well, actually, we didn't could just come past the den. We were at Treehouse Dam, just having a look around. And then we saw Corky making her way towards the den. So we came to see what's happening here. And Corky is suckling her little one in hot. Two little ones are out just having a mooch about for the afternoon. It's really perfect blue skies, wonderful puffy white clouds, and the greens are very green, the sunshine, everything is, it looks very perfect. It's a very much a picture perfect moment. Although, like I said, very warm, 34 degrees Celsius, 93 degrees Fahrenheit. So we're parked in a bit of shade, a little bit further away than usual. Some anal pasting going on there. It's good practice. The secretion that the anal paste is called a pomade. Or pomade, I guess, depending on how you pronounce it. Kind of sounds like some sort of exotic champagne. But, of course, it is not that. It is a paste from their anal gland that they invert and then pop onto nearby stalks of grass that registers all sorts of information about the individual. Male or female, maybe their rank, their status. Well, not maybe, it does, as far as we know. Look at this. This is unexpected. Honestly, at this time of day, I thought that everybody would be flat out cold. Not warm like this. I mean, not out when it's warm like this. And at the moment, we're just missing one cub. Because Ribbon's one boy's come out too. So they'll start to scent mark. They'll start to scent mark very young, at least practicing. Megan, you say your favorite family in Juma? No, I'll let them know, Megan. Hello. Oh, you popped up right here. Hello, Heart's little boy. Megan would like to tell you that you're her favorite little family. Megan, they say thanks so much. We've seen Corky's little girl starting to anal paste from the time she was very, very young. She must have been even less than a month, considering her size at that time. And just getting practice, because by doing that, obviously they learn so much about their clan members and what's going on in the clans, kind of like a newsletter. Every time someone goes past another anal pasting spot and smells all these wonderful things about and gets all the information, so kind of getting the gossip, I suppose, but in a more biological way. Apparently it smells like soap. I can't say that I've gone close enough to smell it myself, but I have seen it. Apparently it smells like burnt soap, if I remember correctly, what I had read in a textbook, because I did not go close enough to smell. And that kind of scent marking is something that they share with their relatives or distant relatives, like filiforms or other filiforms. They share that type of scent marking, like civets and mongoose, that use of an anal gland. Lelo, did you want to know? Hello, first, good afternoon. You want to know if they ever allosuckle. It is not generally reported that they allosuckle, but what can happen, what has been observed, is that sometimes a higher ranking individual can force a submissive individual to suckle their cubs. It has been recorded, it has been cited. I'm pretty sure Jamie has seen that in the Mara once as well, if not more. But it's not the usual case, because everyone is very much each for their own, especially when it comes to raising cubs. But it has been reported. But usually in that situation, a situation where, say the matriarch forces one of the submissive individuals to suckle her cubs. Good morning, Shimbulu. Did you have a great nap? Can you hear that slight doom, doom? It's been almost hitting their heads. On the underside of the car. Ngwazi, you were very dusty. Speaking of that kind of situation where one animal can force another one to do something, or to suckle, or whatever that is, it can also work by denying something. So forcing in a cub to kind of, or the mother to be away from the cub, or constantly chasing the mother away from the cub, so that the cub doesn't actually get the type of nutrition that it needs, and doesn't suckle as often as it should, which is obviously not good. And that's kind of what we're seeing with June at the moment, and Heart just keeps pushing her away, but Corky doesn't push her. There we go, someone's coming to say hi. Corky doesn't push her away though. That's why it's nice to maybe just sit and wait here, because Heart's not sure and Corky is, and she obviously feels comfortable when Corky is around as opposed to Heart is around. So maybe if we sit around, we will be able to catch a glimpse of that elusive cub. They're really, really surprising me at how active they are in this heat. I thought they will be in the den, it'll be hot, nobody will be moving, all of that kind of things. That's what I expected, but lucky us this afternoon with the Juma clan.
Welcome to my car. This is Wendy, and she's my favorite. She would love to have your name engraved on her so you can be with her every single time she goes on a safari here in Djuma. If you become a Wild Earth Explorer, you will have the opportunity to buy an engraved tag which we will attach to her. We will make sure to send you a digital picture to show you exactly where you are sitting on her. You will have front row seat in every single sighting.
My name is James Hendry and I work here at Djuma Private Game Reserve in the Sabi Sands on the western fringes of the Greater Kruger National Park. My favorite part of getting questions from viewers is that we get to have long and varied discussions about all sorts of different aspects of nature. Because our audience comes from all over the world, it's very special to have different perspectives from everywhere. If you want to submit a question on Wild Earth, you need to register on our website. Once registered, go to the Live Safari page and submit your question beneath the live feed.
Join us around the fire as we have our very first Wild Earth Explorers Fireside Chat.
And what that means is that if you are an explorer, we're inviting you to come and join us so we can chat about the greatest highlights of 2020.
We will be chatting about our favorite characters and what they have been up to during the course of this year.
And if you would like to join us, head over to our Explorers page and subscribe. Don't miss out. This Fireside Chat will be on the 13th of December at 7:30 p.m. Central African Time, straight after Sunset Safari.
Have you been watching Wild Earth and dreamt of being right there on safari with one of the guides? Well, now you can. Wild Earth is offering you a chance to buy a ticket to dream. You or a friend can hop on board a live Wild Earth show and join our guide on safari. The ticket is redeemable at any of our locations, anytime in the future. Only a limited number of tickets are available, so don't wait. Get your ticket now and start dreaming. Terms and conditions apply.
We have just found some lions up ahead. I'm just going a little bit closer so we can get a view of them. Welcome to And Beyond Pinner. My name is Dewald, and behind the camera we've got Glenn. There you can see the lioness just below the tree there. They were lying in the shade just as we got here, and she gave two big yawns, and now, I don't know if you can see, but there's actually two youngsters there with her. I think it's the same lioness that we saw this morning that was hunting. She's not far from the spot down at the bottom here where she was lying. But she just got up all of a sudden and started scratching against the tree and stretching and yawning quite a bit. Let's see where she goes from here. I wonder if she maybe saw something that she's interested in also. I wonder if she's maybe keen for a drink at that productive watering hole that we had this morning. She's standing and listening and looking at the moment. Could be that she maybe spotted something in the distance. But she's not really moving. You can see her head just bobbing around, looking in all directions. Oh, there she's just starting to groom her youngsters there a bit. Actually, looks like they're quite playful. I can see a few paws and so going over her head. If I look at her stomach there, we know that they ate a warthog 2 days ago. Or yesterday morning, but I think these youngsters are getting a little bit rowdy and are starting to irritate Mom a little bit. So I think she might be interested in going for a bit of a hunt. Let's see what she's doing now. She's standing quite weirdly. I thought she might be feeding, but looks more playful than anything. Look at the paws of the youngster coming up and slapping her in the face. Too cute. Don't know if you can hear that, but there's like a low, almost contact call sound that she's making. the paws of the youngster on her head there. Quite interesting seeing this behavior of them being so playful, even though it's very hot out there. See how she's panting with her mouth open as well, trying to cool herself down. Yeah, she's coming out into the road for us. Oh, she's such a big female, wow. And she is beautiful. A big scar on the front of her leg as well, old scar there. You can identify this female with that old scar. She's looking straight towards that watering hole there. We saw some warthogs running around there earlier. I think she's looking straight at them. The youngsters are enjoying that nice long vegetation there underneath the shade of the tree. Very playful. Look at them coming up and down, grabbing each other. Still panting away. Look how heavily she's breathing. Just gives you an idea of how hot it is out here. If I just have a look at my wristwatch here, around about 36 degrees Celsius. Rosalind, you're asking at what age lion cubs start to hunt. I think it's different in different areas depending on what prey they want to go for and so on. But what I've seen on Pinner is with the youngsters starting to show interest and around and about 2 years of age. So there's some sub-adults that are part of this pride that's about a year and a half or a year and a few months old, and they haven't started showing interest just yet. But around between a year and a half and 2 years, they start to show interest. Look how there's a fly biting. Oh my goodness. It's tackle mom's playtime. Let's see. Oh, going underneath mom. We are so lucky to see this. I thought these lions were going to be sleeping when we get here because of the heat. These youngsters are so precious. I think she's contemplating if she wants to go out of the shade there. Look at the youngster nibbling and also grooming mom there, licking her back. She's getting over it. Stop climbing onto me, baring her teeth at them. I'm gonna just pull off to the side here, just so it looks like she wants to come in this direction, and I want to give her space to walk on the road if she wants to. Everyone sit very, very quiet. And let's see them walk past. incredible. Okay, they've just disappeared behind us. We can't really move our vehicle just yet because the female's actually standing right behind us and the youngsters are looking at the back of the vehicle. She's actually stopped and she's just standing right out in the open. There's some buffaloes that are now coming down to the water there in the distance. She's now slowly starting to move away from us. We're just going to give her some time to get a bit further away from us, then we'll turn around. But look at that herd of buffalo that's slowly coming down to the water now. Just one or two individuals. I wonder if the rest is gonna follow them. I wonder if she's maybe heading in that direction. You might see another vehicle just come into shot now, and they are coming to join us. But I think we are going to turn our vehicle around and see if we can get another view of this lioness. So we'll send you over to DJ and another lion.
That's better footage before she sits down. Welcome to Tswalu. I'm Deirdre, and on camera with me this afternoon.
Sorry about that, guys. I'm sure we'll get that feedback in a bit. Still having a relaxing time here at the den. Everyone's looking a little bit sleepy now after a bit of investigation of the vehicle. Except for this Heart's little one. Gosh, sitting here in this temperature, it's making me a little bit sleepy, especially in this spot of shade. Everyone's got a nice bit of shade. I can very, very softly hear one of the cubs cleaning themselves. You know, as they bite their fur. Oh, it must be really nice and dry. Maybe this morning's rain was like a bit of a shower for them. When they were close by, they didn't smell of wet dog anymore, and that's great. That den entrance, or the side of the den, the northern entrance has a really, really nice shady bit there. Red spike thorn covering and giving them some good shade. Still hoping for another arrival at the den. It's like it's waiting to build up the courage to get back into the sun. Quickly race to the shady spot. I love how they all kind of take cues from each other about their movements. Like, oh, I'll move to the side of the land. I'm gonna follow. A bit of half-hearted play there. Ooh! Got the whole ear in the mouth. Oh! That does not look pleasant. Luckily their jaws won't be strong enough to exert that bite force that we know hyenas possess. Not just yet. Oh, that was such a spectacular flop down. That was the ultimate flop down. Ooh. It's a really nice, peaceful time at the den. I'm feeling very relaxed myself, a little bit therapeutic. Just watching them groom, walk about, a bit of nursing going on, and the pleasant sound of birds in the background too. Trying a bit of a vegetarian diet there, I see. Well, Nick has some hippos in his dam, so why don't we go over and have a look.
Good afternoon, everyone, and a very warm welcome to And Beyond Ngala this afternoon. As you can see in the screen, we have headed out into the eastern parts of the reserve this afternoon, expecting to find some elephants around the watering hole, and no big elephants here, but there is a resident pod of hippos that are in the water, which are lovely to see. Hi everyone, I'm Nick, and behind camera we have BK this afternoon. And yeah, welcome again. You can see it's really beautiful. After this morning there was a lot of rain, forced us to go back into camp, and you wouldn't believe that we had rain here this morning. Considering how beautifully hot it's got, it's probably about 35 degrees Celsius now, and you can see the hippos just popped its head out, but this pod of hippos milling around right in the middle of the watering hole, potentially at the deepest point in the whole watering hole. You see a bit of bubbles being blown there. Looks like it is a pod with one large male and then two females and two youngsters. That looks like it might be one of the females' heads, and you can see just the eyes and the nose sticking out of the water, quite a long muzzle as well, and every now and then they're going up and down into the water. I think it's probably because of the heat and maybe because of our presence here. They're just feeling a little bit wary, so they head down into the water to cool off, and then every now and then they pop their head up to come and investigate and see if we are still around here. Also been some interesting birds flying over, some little swifts, red-breasted swallows, barn swallows. Very difficult for BK to get on camera because they're super fast flying. So just the hippos for now. We did expect to find elephants here. There were a couple bull elephants close to the watering hole, and looks like they might have already come through. The reason why we thought we might find some elephants here, if you remember yesterday, you saw all the elephants with Dan, and they were all throwing mud on themselves all over Ngala. And that little bit of rain we got this morning topped up those little mud wallows. However, with all the elephants moving around and kicking up the mud and throwing it on their back, that really what prevents that water from being very drinkable for other animals, consisting mainly of just dense mud. You see the hippos are still here, and we thought the elephants might come down to the cleaner water around this watering hole in the east, but nothing as of yet. I think what we're going to do this afternoon, our plan, we came here expecting to find something, but not much around, so we might stick around here for a little bit and then head down into the southern parts of the reserve. If you remember from this morning, we checked the east, no tracks of the Birmingham Pride coming back into Ngala. However, the southern section of Ngala was not really checked through too thoroughly this morning because of the rain forcing everyone back towards the lodge. If BK looks in front of us, over my shoulder, just in front here, we've got a couple Blacksmith Lap Wings as well. We'll just give BK a second to find them. There we go. So 2 Blacksmith Lap Wings, quite common residents around this watering hole. And you can see even they are still in the shade this afternoon, really trying to escape the heat of the day. One's popping its head out into the sun now, and then just over and to the right of the lapwings are a couple Knobble Ducks. And yeah, you can see they also tucked away beautifully in the shade this afternoon. They might have been moving around the water this morning and then moved onto the side to forage a little bit on the water's edge, and then now that it's got really hot, it's pretty much too hot for anything but the Egyptian geese out in the shade. And if you look at those 2 Knobble Ducks that I pointed out, the one on the left, if BK can zoom into the one on the left, the one lying down. Okay, we're on full zoom, so you can just see that little knob on the top of that duck's bill, and that is the male, and that is when he is in his breeding plumage, and that's indicating to the females that he is ready to breed with the female. During non-breeding season, that knob really flattens out. Still a little bit of a prominent knob on his bill, but not as much as what we can see right now. Don't know if you can hear in the background as well, there's a couple woodlands kingfishers calling quite far from us. And then if BK looks up into that dead tree as well, there's a whole bunch of nests that we can see right in front of us. And I've been hearing the birds calling this afternoon. I haven't really looked around the nests too much. There is one sitting on the far right-hand side. You see how those nests are really quite big. Not too neatly constructed. They're quite messy. And that bird sitting on the right there is a red-billed buffalo weaver. And that is the species that has built this nest on the water's edge. Quite beautiful in the dead tree as well. And there'll be a bunch of males, maybe 3 or 4 males in the nest of that size that'll come in and construct the nest with the females. And then there's a whole bunch of females that will live inside those nests. Could be up to 10, 15 in just that small nesting area there. And it's what we call communal breeders. And you can hear them calling quite consistently this afternoon. Really Hippos treating us a little bit to a bit of their calling and their noise as well, which is really quite lovely to hear out at the waterhole. And yeah, it's quite a beautiful day out here. It's still so there's a question from Taryn about the hippos that we have to our right, and Taryn has asked why they do not get wrinkly from spending all the time in the water. And I think that might have something to do with the thickness of their skin. You can imagine with you're being human beings, if we spend too much time in a swimming pool or in a bath, our fingers and softer parts of our skin really do start to become wrinkly, whereas the hippos have got much thicker skin, so it might be a little bit tougher to the water, just prevents it from wrinkling up. To be honest, I might even have to have another double check at that, because we don't tend to see too many hippos outside of the water here at Ngala. We tend to find them inside the watering holes because we only really view them during the days, and at night time they tend to leave the watering holes and forage. So it's quite a good question, and yeah, we might have to just wait to see if we can't find a hippo out of the water in the next couple of days. But I don't think that they do get wrinkly skin from spending all their time in the water. They do, however, on days like today, they're in the water, so not too worried about sunburn and the heat. But for instance, on a river bank where there's lots of sand, you'll often see hippos in the whole pod lying outside the water. And this is just has to do with their skin, where they secrete a oily substance out of the mucous membrane that they have in their skin. It's really quite a pinkish red color, and it acts as a sunscreen and a little bit of a protective layer against the sun, which you can imagine for an animal like a hippo becomes very, very harsh. You can see how his eyes actually are right just out the water there, quite pink as well. So that's an area that might get hit by the sun a little bit more, considering they do need to bring their eyes and nostrils out of the water to breathe when they are in these watering holes. They can go underwater for a quite lengthy period of time. However, they are mammals and they do thus need to come up to the surface and and take a breath of oxygen. This pod has, not been too active this morning, but if I was them, I wouldn't be active either. I think BK and myself are quite jealous of these hippos this afternoon. Wouldn't mind being in a swimming pool ourselves, considering the heat. But it really is quite a lovely afternoon here at and beyond Ngala. So I've just spotted another bird that I'm going to ask. Okay, so last thing before we send you to Deelwald and his lions, we have got a Cape Glossy starling here. But in the meantime, we'll send you over to Pinda and the lions that are there.
These lions walked right past us and they just lie down. This poor female's still being tormented by the biting insects and the flies. But you can see the youngsters lying also nice and flat there behind mom. I think they just moved here because it's a bit of a denser shade, bit of a bigger surface area for them to lie down, and they don't have to lie on top of each other. Have a look at that youngster that's lying there on its legs that's pointing towards us. You can see those spots that covers the legs there. So this morning we had the tiny little cheetahs, was completely black with the white hair on top, and that was for camouflage when they were very, very small. And now we've got these lion cubs. So when they're born, the first 3 months or so, they are completely covered in those spots. Whole body. They almost have rosettes like leopards do. And that's also for camouflage for the first few months when they don't move and they're in a den site and being hidden away in a thicket or some long grass or so. And you can see it's slowly but disappearing on that youngster. Is still on his legs there, but if you look at their mother's legs and her stomach, I can just see faint, very faint spots on her front legs there, but completely disappeared almost, and just disappears over time. Very, very cool to see it like that. You can see the moms and the youngsters. See, her tail is just poised to flick that fly away. See, she makes a joking movement every now and then. Bet you are asking which pride these lions belong to. This lioness and these two youngsters are from a pride that has the designation of the Bayala pride in the southwestern sector of Pinda. But it's purely just for identification purposes and for research, so we know which lionesses belong to which pride and so on. We rarely even talk about the lions as the Bayala pride. There's actually a nice cool wind coming over us now, and it's incredible how quickly it's actually cooling down from when we started drive to now. There's a few misty clouds that's just moving in front of the sun every now and then, and it's cooling down nice and quickly, and I'm hoping that will cause these lions to also get a move on a little bit earlier than usual, especially on a hot summer's day like today. And if she keeps on walking in this direction that she was walking along this dam wall, she's going to be able to use some nice thickets up ahead and maybe be able to ambush some animals that's on the way to the watering hole this afternoon. And that is what we are hoping for, and that's what we are going to stick around for. There's actually two little bee eaters that's sitting right on the side of the road on a small little twig that's flying around these lines as well. I can just see the yellow of the one little bee-eater facing us. They just turned around, and just like that, it disappears. Oh my goodness. But for now, I think we are going to stick around and see what these lions get up to. Hopefully they start moving soon. But for now, you are going to Tristan, where he's got a stalk.
Oh, with a
Sorry about that again, guys. We will get Tristan back and stable very soon, I'm sure. But you know, he is obviously on the search for a leopard, and I'm sure that he'll get it by the end of this day. Still, things are very relaxed here. Everyone is very much chilling. I thought we'd spend another 5 minutes, so we've been here for about an hour. And then we'll continue to go on a bit of a waterhole mission, go to Twin Dams, I think, and then Milwaukee, all those nice cool areas, and then we'll come back here in the evening because, like I said, I'm on a mission and needed to see June. If she's here, then there's this suspense of, oof, maybe we could see that cub. Of course, we don't know. Maybe she's moved it. We wouldn't know until we see her, or we don't see her for a substantial amount of time. I see a little puppet hidden. There we go. In the grass. That is a great, great bit of shade. Oh, yes. You can never let your siblings or your cousins just enjoy a good thing. Can any of us? No, have to go into fear. I hear some chewing going on. I wonder if somebody's got hold of a bone, because that's what it sounds like it's coming from behind that bush. Jax, you'd like to know how soon will the cubs venture out of the den? They would already be venturing out of the den. Obviously, you mean more than this. Ribbons, too, have been walking with her. I've seen their tracks all over the place. I've seen her arrive at the den with them in tow. So they're already walking about. And that'll start to happen. Around 6 months or so, they'll just walk around a little bit here and there. And by the time they're a year, they're pretty much walking all over the place, but still reliant somewhat on a den, or at least a den area, an area that's comfortable and familiar. But by that time, if they want to still be in the den, in the hole of the den, and they actually want to be inside it, then they'll have to dig themselves and widen everything, because they'll be substantially bigger than they were when they first got put into that den and the tunnels were dug. As they grow, those tunnels continue to get dug, by themselves. So they don't rely on Mum to be able to do that. The only digging that Mum does is the entrance of the den that she may widen or make more appropriate for her particular needs. At the end of this month, these boys, Ribbons boys, will be 9 months. All right. Yep, 9 months. And they're pretty much, they're roaming. You see their tracks all over the place. Hearts too. See, they may be walking about in this general area. Definitely not up to camp. I haven't seen tracks like that small, going up to camp. But also, if we don't see it, then you can't say for sure. But I know for sure I've seen Ribbons cubs around, away from the den. Someone got some energy, ran from one tree to the other. Oh, here comes cuteness. Corky's one is done suckling. Playtime now. I always think that the other cubs kind of look forward to when she's around and playing, because whenever she's nursing, they kind of look a little bit bored. Of course, I have no idea because I'm just interpreting it from a human perspective, but they just have that feeling. They give me that feeling. Lots and lots of scent marking going on. Oh, they're just too so curious. And when you think about intelligence, you all talk about how intelligent hyenas are. A lot of the time, intelligence is born of curiosity, isn't it? That you're working not just on instinct, but curiosity can lead to learning and intelligence, because you don't have to particularly be interested in something for one of your vital needs. For example, they are very interested in the tires or the smell of the vehicle and things like that. First, it'll be to determine whether, of course, it's something they can eat. Just like when they take our shoes at camp or anything like that. Can I eat it? Then they determine they can't eat it, but they continue to play with it. And that curiosity is quite indicative of intelligence. It's a good sign when you see that kind of thing. An animal that will do something that does not benefit any of its vital functions. A little conversation going on there between Mum and cub. Really, really lovely. We might stick around a little bit and see what Corky does, but if not, we're going to head off to the dam.
These lions are still lying down and not moving much, but there is some insects that are irritating them. There was a bit of a stretch there from the youngster there in the back, but you can see how shallow the breathing is now. How deep the breathing is now. It's not a pant anymore. This female is really settling in and relaxing down and falling asleep nice and properly now. The shade is nice and cool. The wind is just a slight breeze coming over, so nice and cool on top of this road that we are, that's a little bit raised above the rest of the area. But for now, I think we are just gonna stick around here. These lions seem like they are just gonna be sleeping for quite a while.
Decided to just stay for another little bit because it looks like a playtime is upon us. Like I said, I think that the cubs kind of feel very happy and like to play when Corky's little one is out. Now that she's up and about, maybe there'll be a bit of play. But like I said, it is pretty warm still. It hasn't cooled down too much, just a little bit. Too sweet. Mashudu, you'd like to know at what time they'd hunt, given the heat? I've seen, so it's anything from about 6 o'clock, but obviously depends on the temperature. But by 6 the sun is really nice and low. It's not totally set yet. And they would go out and start hunting through the night even, and then early morning. And remember, they're not spending the entirety of their time hunting, but they will spend much of it hunting and searching for opportunities to get food. So they do hunt a lot of the time, at least 50% of the time. In other parts of Africa, even as much as 80% of the time, 90% of the time. But here, with the predator density and the amount of kills that get taken by wild dogs, leopards, lions, constantly within their territory, they do scavenge quite a bit. But they will most definitely will be hunting at least half of that time. But also those hours that I described, late or early evening to early morning and through the night, those are also the time when those other predators are hunting, and they can also get the opportunity to feed off of them. And that's when the majority of that happens. But you will still maybe occasionally see a babysitter, an adult sitting at the den. It's not necessarily a babysitter, but it's just kind of an adult that gets left at the den. It's usually a clan male or maybe a low-ranking female, but not always. And I find that during the day, this is why I was quite surprised at their presence here in abundance this afternoon, because at this time of day, I'll usually find it absolutely quiet here. The adults will be away from the den, lying up in a bit of shade, sometimes in a nice little pan, cooling down, instead of spending it with the little ones. Because, I mean, like every mother ever, there is some sort of break that needs to be had. You can't be with them all the time, especially when they're fully teethed and nursing from you and always want milk. It can be difficult. The ribbons come through. She's brought a vehicle with her. And this, the one cub just sprinted behind the car so quickly. It was very funny. Now it's back. Oh, all right. Let me send you over to Nick. We are going to stick around now because a ribbon has arrived.
So welcome back everyone, and you'll see that we have managed to find some more buffaloes. So I can't believe it after saying this morning that we don't see any buffalo on Ngala. It seems to be an animal that's popping up quite often today. And if you have a look, you'll see they've got that really nice bodies. They're looking like they're in really good condition, these buffalo bulls, 5 of them. And can you see how they are all lying in the mud wallow? So we're speaking about the heat of the day and how animals are trying to, bit of pushing and shoving going on, trying to escape the heat of the day, and coming into a wallow like this is an ideal place to be doing that. If you look at this one closest to us, I think he's about to drop into the water. He's just trying to find a comfortable spot to lie, and down he goes. And we were chatting about the water at the waterhole that we're at and how nice and clean it is, and you can see this water is quite a lot muddier. So not very many animals will want to drink from this when they have the option of going to that other watering hole. And having a look at this buffalo right in picture, the closest one to us, can you see how he's consistently chewing? And for the last while we've been watching him, we've seen him, and he hasn't fed on any fresh grass around in the near area. So what he is doing is he is ruminating. So he's still feeding, but he's basically refeeding. He's taken that first big mouthful of grass, maybe earlier today when it was a little bit cooler, goes down into the first chamber of his stomach called the rumen, and then he brings it back up in a ball which is known as the cud ball. And then he chews it down to break it down a little bit further, and it allows him to digest it a little bit further. And speaking about the first stomach, just to let everyone know, there are 4 stomachs in a buffalo bull like this, or any ruminant that we get around in Ngala. If BK looks to that buffalo bull on the right, that's just standing up, he's about to drop as well. Yeah, that one, you can see how he's pretty much just standing very, very still at the moment, also ruminating, so all of them are still feeding. And the reason that one is out of the water is that when we arrived, they got a little bit of a fright with the vehicle coming in, so we thought we'd just sit tight and wait for them. And they've all relaxed a fair amount and have moved now into the water. And that one looking at us now, Beaks, the one with the old horns on the right, yeah, that one. Yeah, so have a look at this old buffalo bull's horns. You can see how the tips have been worn right down. Barely any pointiness left in those horns, and he looks like he's a very, very old buffalo bull. And buffaloes in the wild are estimated to live up to about 15, 20 years. I would say he's maybe only about 15, maybe just below that even, 12 to 15. And that's just because in this area, a lot of these buffalo bulls, Vicky and myself were chatting to it just before everyone joined. A lot of these buffalo bulls tend to get a disease called bovine tuberculosis. And although we can't see any of them that are looking sickly at the moment, it's because of the time of year and the abundance of grass that is around. So there's lots of food for them to be feeding on, so they stay nice and healthy. And only in the winter time do they tend to lose condition a little bit. And the reason why I said he's about 12 to 15 is because most buffalo bulls in this area only live to about that age because of the diseases that they carry. And then in the drier seasons, when they do get a little bit older, something like a pride of lions that we're looking for this afternoon, the Birmingham Pride with the 2 white lions in it, they might end up finding it a little bit easier to catch one of the older specimens compared to maybe one of the younger ones, the 3 on the left-hand side of that bull that look like they're a little bit younger. Still mature bulls, so still definitely around 9-10 years old, but quite a lot stronger than the other one. If you have a look, Beaks, on that one on the far back left, you'll see there's a bird on its back. Oh, it's just popped over. There was a bird on its back. But you can actually see on his horns, can you see all the bark, that lighter color that's around his horns, and those leaves that are on the back of his head as well. So it looks like that buffalo may have been thrashing some bushes earlier. And that might be just to establish dominance and show these other buffalo bulls. I mean, it looks like he has the strongest set of horns out of these buffalo. And it might just be him establishing dominance. They do, however, also get mites and parasites between the 2 horns on the top of in that little groove in the middle of the boss. And sometimes they might actually, as I said, get parasites in there. So by horning it into a tree and a bush, which this buffalo definitely has done a little bit earlier today, he might rid that section of those parasites. So the oxpeck has moved now onto the one on the right, or the one right in front of us, sitting right in the middle of his head. And can you see how it's got, he's jumping up and down, but it is a red-billed oxpecker. And you will often find these species of birds on these larger animals, buffaloes, kudu, wildebeest, and they are looking for ticks and any parasites that are living on these animals. Predominantly ticks, considering the fact that they do primarily feed on blood. However, with that oxpecker flying off, I think we are going to continue south and send you over to Deirdre at Tswalu with some butterflies.
Well, welcome back to Tswalu. We don't know quite what happened there, but we came down to one of our water holes to check and see what's happening here. So just a reintroduction, I'm Deirdre, and with me on camera is Owen. So we've just come here, and all we found is just the insects are absolutely buzzing. We've seen, daily we've been seeing these brown-veined whites come down, but we did see earlier, and he is still there, beautiful African monarch butterfly, that orange one with the black and white spots, and that is known as Aposmatic Coloration. So coloration, that's warning colors. Bright orange to birds says generally I am toxic, don't bother trying to eat me, and that tends to help them avoid predators. And a little bit further back, looks like those greeny ones. I think, and I say I think, but the viewers can correct me if they've seen these ones before. I think these are common vagrants, the sort of lime greeny ones. And then, of course, the brown-veined whites in the back. All of them just getting sort of a moisture sustenance to carry on with their day. There's also loads and loads of wasps that are coming down to collect mud to finish their nests. One, Owen says he's got, have you got it on camera? One stuck in the water. I can't see. Okay. I can't see him, but I can see quite a lot of laughing doves have just come down to drink on the right-hand edge there. If you just pan towards the edge, there's 4 laughing doves, and then the one with the collar across the back is a Cape turtle dove. So the pinky-coloured ones, well, they've got pink chests, laughing dove. So out of the 2 in the frame, the one on the left, Cape turtle dove, and the one that just left is a laughing dove. We've also been seeing quite a lot of little Namakwa doves coming in to drink, but not at that spot. So this is always going to be a hive of activity on a day like today. We're sitting at probably about 32 degrees plus. You've got that Namakwa, he's just come in now. He's in front of the other dove. There's two. Are you on him? So there comes a nice little Namakwa dove. That's a male. And nice orange beak and every now. Oh, there he goes. One thing with birds, they don't stick around for long. So as I was saying, a nice 32 degrees. A waterhole's always a good place to come. It's always going to have activity. If the birds start getting too hot, they come and drink. They might even dunk their belly feathers and have a nice soak to cool down. You might find as soon as it starts getting a bit cooler and the sun starts going down, the animals start coming to drink. So we're going to stick it out here for a little bit and see if any animals decide to come drink. I don't see any ducks or anything. I know there's one little slender mongoose that lives here. He's a bright red slender mongoose. So I'm not too sure if I got the name right, but I heard Dave. What is the population of butterflies at Tswalu? So our species list at this stage, which is quite unusual for an arid environment, is about 76 species. And as we go, we're constantly finding new ones. Insects is the one that you're constantly going to discover new species. But with the butterflies, at least they're brightly colourful. Very often you can find out which ones are where by either coming to waterholes like this or putting out nectar or monitoring a whole patch of flowers. We get, now they're starting, there's a few, if I can find you some beautiful nerines. They're flowering in the calcrete areas, and then you just get a massive response of both butterflies and moths to come and pollinate those areas or those flowers. So hopefully that answers your question. Keep the questions coming. Hashtag Wild Earth. There's a little yellow one down here. Oh. That looks like a... Oh, no. There's so many. You get yellow vagrants and lemon travellers and common vagrants, and they really do have beautiful names, all these butterflies, but they further complicate things very often by having one male and one female. So you might have 76 species of butterflies, but the male and the female look different from each other, so you're actually learning a lot more butterflies. There's a slight breeze coming in from the north. Nice, we'll see. I'm not too sure. Just take a moment, just listen. The doves are calling. The little Namakwa dove is calling in the background. What a peaceful scene. A really, really beautiful afternoon. Lots and lots of insects. Maple Pie is asking, do butterflies have the same lifespan? That's a very good question. Most butterflies would last the season. Their function is pretty much as soon as they've emerged is to breed. And then it's difficult to maintain those wings. You can just think about them being so fragile. Just even flying, the wind, bumping into vegetation. Very often, if there's any damage to that sort of forewing, that arch or that, I want to say a bone, but it's not really a bone. It's just the arch on the front of the forewing. If there's any damage to that, then the butterflies can't actually fly. But you can find butterflies that towards the end of the breeding season, they have very, very tatty hind wings, and they still manage to fly with those. So most butterflies will just be a season. sometimes if the season's very good and you have lots of rain, you can have multiple generations being successful in that season. So like we saw the other day with the brown-veined whites, they were literally hatching, there was caterpillars going into their cocoons, the chrysalis is emerging, and as soon as the butterfly's wings were dry, they were mating. So that cycle just keeps happening for as many times as it can in the summer season. So you can have multiple generations over a what we call it an immigration, if the butterflies move from one place to another but they don't come back. Oh, there's one that landed in the water just behind those vagrants. I don't think swimming lessons were part of his plan.
That's the one I was talking about.
I thought it was a wasp. It looks like a butterfly. The monarchs just landed again to the right of the green ones. See him?
Yeah, running.
Just beautiful. Oh, he seems to be having a bit of an argument with a bee. The bee seems to be bothering him, and you probably find that bee thinks he's a flower because he's got such bright orange. The bee's probably investigating, thinking, well, where's my nectar? And the butterfly would also give off a scent or a pheromone because he's trying to attract females, or she's trying to attract a mate, should I say. And all the bee sees is a nice orange item that could potentially be a flower. Just like if you wear a bright colored t-shirt sometimes on a nice summer day, the bee decides that your t-shirt looks nice. Oh, and he's having a showdown with the carpenter bee. You see that? Are you at the monarch?
Yeah.
He just had that. There was a carpenter bee that just landed in front of him. So we even have confrontations in the insect world. Just beautiful. There's some, oh no, every time the doves are starting to drink and you think that they're going to be good for the pictures, they fly off. So, as I said, we're going to stay while the insects fly in and out. We're going to send you to another.
An ever-increasing part of the global population is losing its connection with nature. Wild Earth is here to reduce people's stress and anxiety, allowing you to escape into nature even just for a few hours a day. However, Wild Earth is expensive to run, and we need help from you to keep this ship going. Wild Earth Explorers gives you the opportunity to be part of a program that supports the sharing of nature with the world.
Jumbo, my name is Isaac Rotich. I come live to you every day from the Mara Triangle in Kenya, East Africa. I think the most underrated animal here where we are is the spotted hyena. And the main reason is people haven't read any literature to fully understand about this super predator.
Catch up with the guides daily here on Wild Earth. Wild Earth is launching our brand new Explorer program with an opportunity to win a very special Wild Earth expedition. The lucky winner will get a behind-the-scenes Wild Earth experience at the magnificent and beyond Ngala Tainted Safari Camp. The prize includes a 3-night stay for you and a friend with a chance to sleep out in the unique Ngala treehouse. Become a Wild Earth Explorer and stand a chance to win this and many other prizes. Terms and conditions apply.
Join us around the fire as we have our very first Wild Earth Explorers Fireside Chat.
And what that means is that if you are an explorer, we're inviting you to come and join us so we can chat about the greatest highlights of 2020.
We will be chatting about our favorite characters and what they have been up to during the course of this year.
And if you would like to join us, head over to our Explorers page and subscribe. Don't miss out. This Fireside Chat will be on the 13th of December at 7:30 p.m. Central African Time, straight after Sunset Safari.
Oh, just as I was about to say, we finally settled on some laughing doves that wanted to come down and drink. They flew away. So I can hear a little ashy tit calling behind us. Little black and white bird. Nice pretty coloration. The doves don't seem to stay for long. They literally come in, they have one gulp, and then they move off quite quickly. So we didn't see. We're hoping for zebras or gemsbok or what else around here? Some wildebeest, maybe even some lions. We did see some lion tracks not too far from here, so we were hoping that we'd find some under the shade, but no luck. They're coming to that same island again, Owen. The laughing doves. And there's a Namakwa dove just behind them. So the laughing dove, the one that doesn't have what is often referred to as a cape on the back of the neck, or that little stripe. The laughing dove, one of the smaller ones, and the coo 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 coo, a little bit of a happy sound. And then there's the Namakwa doves just peeping out from the vegetation. Have you got him? So that's a male Namakwa dove. It's hiding behind the bush. Oh. So when they come down to drink here, they're not coming to find food or anything like that. They're just coming to drink, and they'll come right throughout the day. There are also some dragonflies buzzing around. We can see if we can find an interesting one for you. Oh, those butterflies are just busy. Oh, remember that little island behind the butterflies? There's that wasp. Keep coming there. There's 2 or 3. I don't know if you can get that one. He's actually busy collecting the water. Megan says her comment is that she's always said that butterflies are flying flowers. I agree with you. They are absolutely beautiful. They just give you a glimpse, open their wings, fly off, and then land somewhere. There's a monarch there. That's a beautiful monarch, back in the same position as the one originally. There's another little butterfly that just landed that I think in the book they call them a brown. Oh, the monarchs are having a little bit of an you see what's going on there? Maybe we have a male and a female monarch, and then the carpenter bee is just chasing him again. So we either have, with the monarchs, unfortunately we're a little bit too far away for me to see, but literally depending on where you see specific dots on the hind wing will be whether it's a male or a female. So depending on the behavior, we'll see, maybe we see some flirting going on and maybe mating, or we actually see a little bit of fighting. And that's another way that the butterflies can actually break that front wing, is from fighting. Just beautiful. So we talk about, earlier we spoke about that sort of orange, black and white coloration, and we spoke about Aposmatic Coloration. Now there's some butterfly species, there's one called a common diadem, that the female is incredibly intelligent, and she mimics almost exactly the same colors of an African monarch. She herself is not toxic, but she mimics, so she pretends to be something she's not, so that the birds will leave them alone. So for butterflies, it's predominantly birds that are their big predators. But you tend to find with butterflies, the larger they are and the brighter coloration they have, the less likely that they are palatable. And the smaller the butterfly, the faster it flies, it tends to potentially be a little bit more palatable from a prey range. So, I mean, this would be easy pickings for birds, but they're not swooping down and grabbing at these brown-veined whites and common vagrants, because they quite likely don't taste very nice. I've just seen, there's a little bird here, Owen, sitting on the edge of the nest, and I think it might be, you see the grey-headed sparrow here. Can you turn there? Here, right here?
Ja, ich habe past the view.
So I didn't get the name there, but the question was, what is the most colourful butterfly? Wow. I would have to say there's one that's called a painted lady. There's another, a yellow one with blue spots. I'm trying to think of the name now. It's completely slipped my mind, but there are lots of beautiful butterflies. I'm just trying to think of... I can't find the... It's fine. Oh, it's called a yellow pansy. That, to me, between a yellow pansy and a blue pansy, those are the two that are my favorite colored butterflies. So, all the butterflies. I'm just reading here in a book. It says that some butterflies can even see in infrared. Some have, the moths have night vision. There's almost, there's an amazing bit on insects here. I'm just, yeah. So have a look and see if you can type in a yellow pansy. That's my favorite. They're very, very pretty. I can hear lots of bees buzzing in and coming around, and I'm still, every now and again, just have a scan with binoculars to see if there's anything new coming to the water. I can hear lots of red-crested korhaan in the background. So in the evenings, when it starts getting a little bit cooler, these are the areas that we actually hear all the frogs calling. We've been hearing little bubbling casinas calling in the evening. It's like a plop, plop, like a little popping bubble. We've been hearing them in the evenings, and it's quite...
We're sorry about that. We've got two young buffalo bulls fighting here, or actually sparring, next to this little pan that was very, very productive this morning. And seems like this herd of buffalo hasn't moved too far away. They spread out all over to the left-hand side here. But look at these two young bulls pushing each other around. Oh, now it seems there's actually some older bulls that's coming from the right-hand side there as well. The younger bulls going straight towards them. Let's see what happens if there's some interaction between them. Bit of smelling and so happening. I think these two young bulls know that they are a little bit outwitted by those big bulls. Oh, this one right here, they had a big fright just now. Wonder if it can maybe pick up the scent of something that's coming. The wind is picking up a little bit. Moving closer to the other buffalo now up the hill. See how it's standing with its nose up into the air? I think it's smelling something. The wind is blowing from straight ahead of us. Just all of a sudden, look at that, eh? And there's the older bulls now coming down to the water as well. Let's see, I wonder if they are some old bulls that are not really part of the herd coming for a drink for the first time today. Let's see if they do. Look at this big bull coming past here now. Let's see if he also smells something. Maybe he'll change his behavior and also tell us if there's something maybe on the horizon. Hasn't stopped just yet. Zay, you're asking when buffaloes mate. So buffaloes actually mate all year round. The females go into estrus and go into heat all year round. There is a slight increase in youngsters being dropped around the rainy season, but you can actually see babies being born throughout the year. So they do mate throughout the whole year. Look at the bulls going and smelling each other there. A little bit of sparring happening again. My goodness, that's a bit unfair, the two fighting against the one there. Oh my goodness. That looks dangerous. Look how they've just stopped. Looking over to the right. They're just keeping on going now again. These buffalo have just stopped and actually looking to the right hand side. There's another vehicle that's just joined our sighting here. I just heard whispers over the radio of 2 male lions. Okay, here they come. I can actually see their heads just sticking out. If you look past that green bush there, just see the one's head sticking out. Oh my goodness. Look at these buffaloes are also picking their heads up and looking towards the lions there. I think they've also spotted the lions. That's what the other buffalo was smelling. The lions are already starting to change their direction.
Steady on.
See, the male lions have just stopped for a moment because I think they've seen that these buffaloes are in their way to get to the water. Let's see what they decide to do. The buffalo are slowly turning around and they're actually running off now. Yeah, the male lions are keeping on walking towards the water. Remember, there's still some buffalo off to the right hand side as well. And they're keeping on walking towards the watering hole now. And I'm assuming that they're going to want to get to the rest of the herd that's off to the left hand side. They've got a bit of a standoff here. Look at that male lion just waiting to see what the buffalo want to do. Yeah, the buffalo are coming towards us. Tails up in there, hightailing it literally across to the others. Big old bull here in the back. And the male lions are on the move again. I don't know if you can hear the buffaloes snorting off to the left hand side. Look at these two males. Oh my goodness, they are beautiful. This male here in front, how lush that mane is and how dark it is. Let's see if he comes down for a drink right here in front of us. That would be amazing. Look how they're panting and walking in the afternoon sun. Must be nice and hot. Here we go. Going down for a drink. Sorry about that. You might just hear me take a photo or two of these lions as they come down to drink. You might hear the other vehicles also coming around to see if they can get a view of them drinking. How beautiful is that, with the reflection as well. Yeah, the other brothers coming. Oh my goodness. And the light is so beautiful on their faces as well. The reflections are incredible. Both of them keeping an eye on those buffalo off on the left-hand side, and the buffalo are keeping an eye on them as well. What a surprise, coming to have a look at these buffaloes and then getting surprised by these two male lions. So we're not far away from where we left the lioness with the two youngsters. And I wonder if they are going to go in that direction. Look at these two brothers. Let's see if there's some interaction between them two. Just coming to join his brother there. Oh, look at that, right next to each other. Wow. Look at that, they're drinking quite a lot. Luckily the buffalo haven't been at the water here for a couple of minutes now, so I think the water is not that disturbed. The mud has settled down a bit, but look at those two just keeping an eye on those buffalo. The buffalo hasn't lost interest in them just yet. Listen to the cool breeze blowing over us. Wonder if that gave them the energy and made it cool enough for them to start moving. David, you're saying that these two are very handsome. They are indeed. They have such big manes and dark manes. It is incredible. Look at the one closest to us actually has a little bit of a full belly. I wonder if it's just being filled up with water now. That's maybe why it's looking so swollen. Oh, look at they're actually lapping up quite a bit of muddy water now. If you look at their tongues coming in and out, it's getting quite muddy. So we might see them just move their heads every now and then from side to side to try and lap up some cleaner water. Look at that one there, both of them sitting down now. I think they are so thirsty. Imagine walking a long distance during the middle of the day like this. No, this one likes his bum up in the air while he's drinking. Oh, look at that one's eyes are so beautiful. Absolutely incredible. Can't believe our luck. Beautiful afternoon light on them as well. It's incredible how much they are drinking. They must have been walking such a long way. I don't know if you remember, but yesterday afternoon we had one of them following a lioness the whole time, and the brother was just sleeping, but they obviously met up with each other further away. I can't believe they were drinking so much. Light's just getting softer and softer, which makes it even more incredible to take photos. You might hear our shutters go off as we take photos, and you're welcome to go check out our Instagram pages for some photos. Wow. Brother on the right-hand side. Oh, for a moment I thought he was done drinking, but just picking his head up and having a look. The buffalo have moved off completely. But they are still keeping an eye on that in that direction. That one's getting a little bit tired of standing up like that. Those bellies are just getting fuller and fuller of water. Just looking at the movement of their tongues, I can just imagine my cheeks are already tired just looking at how much they are licking there. Look at that one male on the left-hand side looking straight towards us with those yellow piercing eyes. Glenn, you're asking if these two males will spend their lives together. Yes, they will. So when male lions form coalitions, which might be with siblings, but also with other lions in their pride that is of similar age, they will try and stick together their whole lives. These two break away from each other every now and then when one's maybe mating with a female and the other one doesn't get a chance, but they'll always seek each other out, and often when they're not together they'll roar to find each other. And these two brothers staying together is just a force to be reckoned with, because then if there's any other males, they'll have to handle both of them and not just one of them for territory and to control the prides in this area. I cannot believe how long they are drinking. It almost feels unreal, and some of you might be wondering, like, are we replaying just the lions drinking the whole time? But I promise they are just keeping on drinking for so long, which makes me think that they have been walking the whole afternoon. See how there's a few clouds and stuff now in front of the sun. Actually, a big cloud bank behind us. Wonder if there's maybe a thunderstorm on the way for tonight. But the sun is completely behind the clouds now, giving it a nice and cool coloration on it. That's why you might hear some of our shutters going off again. We can actually see in the distance that the lioness and the two youngsters that we were looking at earlier is slowly coming in this direction. It's a little bit difficult to see them, so we won't put them on screen just yet. We'll see if they come in this direction and maybe come and join these two males. Will be interesting to see what the interaction is like with those three individuals. I don't think these male lions have seen them just yet. But they are still keeping an eye on the buffalo all the way in the distance, far off to the left-hand side. My goodness, those mouths are just getting muddier and muddier the longer they drink. You can see the male on the right-hand side's mane is a little bit full on top of his head there. And the one on the left-hand side, you can almost see on his shoulders, between his shoulders there, it looks a little bit more, or a little bit less hair than the one on the right. And if I have a look at the one that's on the left-hand side there, when he was just looking towards us now, Seems like he's the one that does not have the scar on the eye. The one on the right-hand side there is the one that has a scar on his right-hand eye. That's on the other side, opposite side of where we are. And he's the one that's been mating with all the females lately, so we think that he is the dominant one between the two at the moment. So just the one closest to us. They have literally not stopped drinking, yeah. I wonder how long it's been going now. They are just gulping down and so much water. It was very hot today, so I'm guessing they have just been away from water the whole time. Sharon, you're asking when they would need to drink again after this. It's too difficult to say. I think lions, they'll drink whenever they go past some water. They'll drink whenever it's available. But I think these two brothers, another thing that could be making them drink a lot like this is if they had something to eat during the middle of the day. A lot of blood and meat is quite a salty diet, and often they need to drink a lot after that. I think they've just spotted the lioness with the youngsters coming in this direction. They are incredibly beautiful. You can see the one on the right-hand side looks a little bit more stocky, and his back is just a little bit higher than the one on the left. Male actually urinating while he's standing there. Yeah, look at those bellies are nice and full, but it might just be from the water, but I think they might have maybe eaten something recently. Oh, look at them staring. I'm just going to raise my body up and see if I can maybe spot if the lioness is on the way. She's still standing quite far away, but you can see the male there on the right-hand side just keeping an eye on her. He's actually staring at her, hasn't taken a gaze off of her just yet. I think when lions haven't been with each other for a while, they often stare like this. I wonder if he's trying to identify this other individual, and she's maybe trying to identify them, making sure that they are not a threat to her cubs. Both of them staring at her now. But for now, I think we are going to wait and see if there's an interaction between them, and see if we can also get a different angle on them.
Welcome back to And Beyond Ngala, and look what we've managed to find. Beautiful herd of elephant moving through in the south of the property. Keep a lookout for this very large bull coming through at the back. But I'm just going to take a minute or so just to listen to the sounds around us. Pay careful attention to the elephants and see if you can hear them feeding. Really quite amazing to watch that herd of elephants silently moving through that little patch or the little opening that we had. The big elephant bull that I was mentioning unfortunately moved through on the far side, so we didn't get a good view of him, but really quite special and amazing how quietly they move through the bush. yeah, we're going to spend some time with these elephants and send you over to another live location.
So, what is that? Is it a bird's nest? Is it a flower? No, it's a Dune Bush. So, we've just come across this area, and these Dune Bushes are all over the place in flower. Last week, not one in flower. We had some rain, and they have just literally exploded on the landscape. They've got a very interesting name in Afrikaans. They call it a besembossie. And a besem in Afrikaans would be a broom. So a nice little handy broom. I found a dry, dead one earlier. If anybody wants to do housekeeping, this is a good bush remedy. And this is after the bush has died, which is a natural seasonal thing. Once it's dried out, then it becomes quite a hard, woody substance, but that stays into a nice broom. So all you have to do is just attach a handle, tie it together, and you have a nice broom for your house. But we have been seeing lots of insects on these. There's a bright red one somewhere around here. Looks like a cotton stainer. But we're going to go in. I'm going to actually bring you a flower closer to the vehicle because I want to show you how pretty they are. I know you can see how pretty they are from there, but I want to be able to explain something. So, hopefully I didn't kill it. We can also have a look while we're here, before I don't have to bring them, is already some of them have gone into seeds at the bottom here. So that's once the flower has been pollinated and it's ready to put its seed out, that is what the seed looks like. But I'm going to bring it to you with, I better choose a grass pointer. There we go. So Owen can zoom in nicely there. I'm going to turn it sideways so you can see. This is a typical pea-shaped flower. So it does belong to the pea family, Fabaceae, known as a Dune Bush. But it's got a nice little system here at the bottom. It's almost like a little cup or a bowl where they would have the nectar. But they've got two petals on the top, so they're actually forcing an insect to land on those two petals in order to get into the nectar at the bottom, and in that way probably get some of the pollen on the head, and then it goes from flower to flower, pollinating the plant. So these are literally only going to flower over the next couple of days, and then this flower is finished, and the Dune Bush are not as spectacular. Then they just go into looking quite drab, known as a crotalaria, and it is also one of those ones that's toxic to animals. If the animals eat it specifically when it's green, they can get what is called crotalariosis. It's not really a nice thing. It actually affects the ligaments in the legs by they're close to the foot, and that alters the way that the foot meets the ground, and it tends to allow that the hooves then start growing really, really long because they're not on the right plane in order to stay and be worn down constantly. So you actually get sometimes giraffe or kudu that actually land up with a hoof that starts curling upwards. It's prominent. It's found in rhino, zebra, giraffe, kudu is all the animals we've seen it in. And they don't choose to eat it, but if times are really tough and things are dry, animals will eat whatever they can get hold of. And when they eat too much of it, then that's when they can get that crotalariosis. But just an absolute stunning scene there as Owen pans. So we're going to carry on and head up to one of our other pans. We're still in search of lions. We're going to send you to Deerwald.
The lioness just came up to these males and she just slapped them around a little bit. There was actually a little bit of excitement, and I think the one male chased the other male away from the female as well. And now all of them have come back to drink again. Incredible that the male lion is drinking again after having such a big drink earlier. The lioness is just up looking around. Look at that, all four of them in a line. don't know if you can hear them lapping up the water there. If I have a look, this looks like the male that has the bit of a scar through the right-hand eye there. Look at the youngster. Let's see if there's a bit of interaction. Look, standing underneath mom's tail. Coming for another drink. Look at this youngster stretching and smelling the male. A little bit nervous of going too close to him. Look at that rubbing up against mom. And coming to drink right next to mom there. Wants to do everything that mom's doing. Bit of mud on their chins there as well. Let's see what this youngster does. Oh. The youngsters are very nervous of these males. But if he should try anything with them, I'm sure this female will put him on his place. Look at the wind blowing in the male's mane there as well. So you're asking how much water they can drink. I think it's very different every time they drink. I'm sure it's a few liters every time. But like I said, it is different depending on how thirsty they are. Look how those youngsters are rubbing up against each other. And mom is grooming them a bit as well. Let's see what happens now after they've had a drink. I think these youngsters are nice and playful. It's cooling down very quickly with that bank of clouds that we've got behind us. See that youngster pushing his head onto that bush there? That male lion actually scent marked there earlier. So she's smelling the ground there as well. Let's see here. Look at the youngster. Coming up to the male. He's being very careful not to be aggressive to the youngsters there. Oh. Mom and dad standing right next to each other. So these two males would have been the dominant males of this pride when these youngsters were born. And they are most probably the fathers of these cubs, and that is why they were not aggressive towards them. See how the others behind the male is just smelling around there because that's where he scent marked earlier. This female is really interested in grooming her youngsters. The male smelling the female's hindquarters there. I agree, Heidi. It's an incredible comment. They're just walking behind a vehicle here. We're going to see, yeah, they're coming around. We're just going to see they might walk out just around the corner. You can just see them pass the vehicle. Yeah, they go. On their way down towards the watering hole down at the bottom there. And just in the distance, quite difficult to see, but there's the subadult males of this pride. That's part of this pride is lying down at the bottom there. I wonder if this lioness is on her way in that direction. The male's now gone and lie down in front of this other vehicle in front of us, but she seems like she's on her way in that direction. We'll see if there's some interaction between them a little bit later on. If you're asking how long this pride has been on Phinda, sure, I think some of these lionesses can probably find their heritage comes from a long line of females, while Phinda is probably Phinda is around 30 years old, this reserve, so I think this pride has been here for quite a while. Look at the youngsters playing there, biting their mother. She was just giving a small contact call there. I wonder if she's wanting the pride to actually follow her. Youngsters jumping onto her back as well. So glad these lions are up and awake and moving around. I see the females just staring in the distance, so that's where the sub-adults are, is down where she was looking at, in that direction she's looking in right now. Look at this youngster, almost like stalking the male lion, with his head down low and coming slowly but surely closer to this male. See the females now looking back towards the youngsters. And now she's staring again at those sub-adults. So those sub-adults have been sleeping far in the distance there for the whole day. We actually saw them there this morning as well. I think she's also just trying to figure out which individuals it is that she's seeing there. She's gonna lie down, keeping an eye on her cubs that are going off and further away from her now. Here she's starting to groom a little bit. So nice and cool now with the sun behind the clouds, and the sun is about to set behind us. See how she just stopped grooming for a moment and looking towards the cubs there, and there she goes again. So all of this grooming and coming for a drink here, I think this is all part of the waking up process. I think these youngsters are also going to be very playful the whole time now. So I think we'll stick with these lions for as long as we can and see what she does. She's just licking her lips a little bit. And there she's grooming again. Keep an eye on her if she yawns every now and then. We are going to stick around for now and see if we can maybe get a view of these youngsters. And we'll send you over to Nick with some elephants that are on the move.
Welcome back, and you can see we've got an absolutely beautiful herd of elephants moving through the nice open areas of the southern parts of the property. See how some of their, we're on the little baby, and you see how it's putting its trunk right up into the air, just trying to smell us and scent us as much as possible. A crucial sense for these animals, or these elephants, are their sense of smell. And you can see the babies really struggling to lift their trunks up. It's quite cute. And you can see how these elephants are moving quite quickly. And I think they might be heading to a watering hole that is sitting just behind us. But just such a beautiful lighting on them this afternoon. Really is stunning. The one baby's got the orange face as well. Lots of sand on his face, probably rolling around. And you see how the babies, all three of them were tucked nicely and tightly. Really nice and tightly between the mothers, just to protect them with our presence here. That big bull elephant that I mentioned earlier has not come through yet, but it does look like he's been following this herd of females, smelling a little bit of them. They're moving around circle and see if we can get another view of them. Nice beautiful morning with the rain. These elephants have now spent most of the day down to the watering hole. Sorry, we're having a little bit of problem with the sound. The sound every now and then, so we've just got to fiddle every now and then, but I think let's just turn off here. You can see how they are starting to move a little bit quicker. I think it might be because of our presence and just the fact that the vehicle switched on and running. So I just want to give them a chance to move down the slope towards the watering hole. You can see that really big, beautiful marula that they're going to be moving under shortly. They are really moving at quite a pace. And you can imagine, as I said, after the long hot day, quite dire need of a drink of water at one of the cleaner watering holes. I think that's what we might try to do as well. We might try and head down towards the watering hole. Hopefully we don't disturb the elephants. If we do get close and I see their behavior changing, I might just switch off the vehicle just to give them a little bit of space. And I think the reason why they're a little bit nervous this afternoon just because of those small babies that we saw. Really lovely sighting. See, they're almost at a run now as they go down the slope in front of us. And that's just because of their incredibly heavy heads that causes them to almost run when they're walking downhill. So we're just going to keep moving slowly behind them, following them, and see if they do. So what we're going to do is we're going to head down to this watering hole and see if we can get these elephants drinking. But for now, we're going to send you over to Tswalu with Deirdre and some tracks.
So we've come to another waterhole to check out what's happening here, and we found that a large group of animals moved here this morning. But if we have a look at them, I'm going to sit down here. Owen said he could see these. You just see 4 little dots and then generally a pad. And if we move over to these ones, you see 1, 2, 3, 4 toes and a bit of a thumb, and then the whole back heel. So this was a troop of baboons that came to have a look or come to have a drink at the water this morning. There is a couple of other insect tracks and other things that have gone over them. So for us in the tracking environment, you're generally trying to always compare baboons with vervet monkeys. We know we don't have any vervet monkeys here, so these are 100% baboons, but also we tend to look at what you see in the track. So this is the front hand. You can literally see the fingers and the thumb, and then here on the back foot you would effectively what would be us toes, and then also like the thumb. So with a baboon, a much larger area at the back and much larger in size, and then the baboon have a much longer back foot. The baboons spend more time on the ground, whereas the vervet monkey spends more time up in the trees. I'm just going to quickly turn that radio down. Apologies for that. And then you can have a listen to the bubbling casinas, which is why we stopped here. Just have a listen to them. So those are the frogs that we heard, or that we were talking about, that sometimes we've been hearing in the evening, the bubbling casino. So they sort of
Well, unfortunately, it seems as though Tswalu's got a little bit of an issue. So you're with us on Djuma. We've also been running around a little bit, and you might notice that I'm in a completely different car to what I was in a little bit earlier. This is the first time I've driven Wendy this year, which is amazing. It feels a little bit weird being in Wendy. It feels like I'm cheating on a girlfriend by driving Wendy and not Rusty. But anyway, it's the way it is. So we've managed to get the steering rod fixed on Wendy quickly, sorted out some other things, and now we're out and about. And we're hopefully going to catch up with the dogs fairly shortly. They should be coming in this general direction where we are now. They were heading kind of roughly here. That's why I'm going a little bit quicker than what I was a little bit early. Well, you know, with them, when they start to get going, they can turn on the afterburners at any point and then they can be gone. So we're going to try and catch up with them, try and see where they head to, and see if we can maybe get an epic sighting of them in this beautiful afternoon light. Join us around the fire as we have our very first Wild Earth Explorers Fireside Chat.
And what that means is that if you are an explorer, we're inviting you to come and join us so we can chat about the greatest highlights of 2020.
We will be chatting about our favorite characters and what they have been up to during the course of this year.
And if you would like to join us, head over to our Explorers page and subscribe. Don't miss out. This Fireside Chat will be on the 13th of December at 7:30 p.m. Central African Time, straight after Sunset Safari. This is Rusty. He's my favorite vehicle, and we've been through all the good times here in the bush. Now, if you feel a connection to Djuma Game Reserve like I do, then we have a fantastic opportunity for you. You can have your name engraved on a brushed metal plaque just like this one, and we will attach it to Rusty so you can always be with us on safari in spirit. We will even send you a digital photograph once your plaque is mounted on Rusty. Spaces are limited, so grab your spot now.
What fascinates me most about the animal circle of life is the intricacies between the large and the very, very small. I mean, it's very easy to go out there and find the large. Once you found the large, the cascading effect down to the small absolutely fascinates me. Alertness and situation awareness is by far the number one aspect for protecting ourselves out on safari.
Catch up with the guides daily here on Wild Earth. Have you been watching Wild Earth and dreamt of being right there on safari with one of the guides? Well, now you can. Wild Earth is offering you a chance to buy a ticket to dream. You or a friend can hop on board a live Wild Earth show and join our guide on safari. The ticket is redeemable at any of our locations, anytime in the future. Only a limited number of tickets are available, so don't wait. Get your ticket now and start dreaming. Terms and conditions apply.
This buffalo bull just came out of nowhere and just chased the two male lions. He's slowly coming this way now. He was on a full charge and these two males just ran all the way out of the way. That was an incredible experience. Wow. Don't often see buffalo at full speed running like that. So the buffalo bull is just stopping and staring. I think you can see some other buffalo in the distance. And my lions are just settling down in the back there. This buffalo is walking straight towards us now. Look at the tear in his ear, on his left-hand ear there now. But buffalo have, you asking how far they can sense predators. Buffalo have exceptional hearing, smell and sight. I'm sure he saw these lions from quite a distance away, but he didn't realize that the two cubs was actually very close to him, and then when they ran off, I think he noticed all the other lions and then chased them all. See how he's looking towards the rest of the buffalo that's behind us. And you can see he's been in an area where there was lots of fever trees. You see the fever tree dust on his horns there from scratching his head against the bark. We are gonna stick around. This buffalo is now on his way to the rest of the herd that's just here behind us, and we're gonna see if we can reposition.
Well, as you can see, we've managed to catch up with the dogs, which is good news. As you can see, they're on the run, which means that they're probably on the hunt. And even the limpy dog at the back is keeping up, as you can see. He's got his own little signature run that he's got, which is a kind of 3 steps and then a hop that you see there. And the dogs, like I say, are pretty much on the move. Unfortunately, the direction that they're heading is going to be very, very, very difficult to keep up with them. If they go to the left, which is where they look like they're going, that left-hand side has got a huge thicket and a very large block, and keeping up with wild dogs when they are going through thickets like that is going to be very, very difficult. So we'll just have to see which way they head. But so cool to see them at this time of the day. It's got this beautiful kind of soft light, and this is why we like to catch up with dogs at this time. They've been sleeping the whole afternoon, but now it's time to try and find food. And the general kind of way that they're heading is kind of towards Chitwa, which is a good way. If they head that way, we're in for a treat, because if they go towards Chitwa Dam, there's always a multitude of impalas down near Chitwa Dam, and they chase them towards the water, and you get these crazy encounters with the crocodiles of Chitwa, the wild dogs, and obviously various other antelope species that sometimes are there. So things like waterbuck and nyala and all kinds of other things that are in that general area. The adults kind of just seem like they're hesitating. The puppies are the ones that are sort of forging ahead at this stage. They are on their own little mission to try and kind of see what's down the road. You can see they're mostly in the road and kind of in front. It always amazes me, though, that this little limping one is just able to keep up. These dogs don't run slowly. They trot. They, as we know, very, very big animals. But you can see how that little 2 and a skip is how it gets going, and you would think that that would slow it down, but it doesn't. This little puppy keeps up really, really well. It really is incredible, the resilience of wildlife. It's not just wild dogs. I mean, there's so many animals that show these incredible examples of complete sort of ability to overcome life-threatening injuries that we as humans, if we had them, we would have very little chance of survival. Yet they somehow are able to be resilient enough to survive it, and that's probably with this dog is down to the fact that it's got a pack. Without a pack, you would really, really struggle with surviving. Something like a leopard would never survive an injury like that. All right, let's catch up with them, because they are disappearing down the road rather quickly. You kind of don't realize how quickly these guys are able to maneuver. There's going to be a vehicle that's going to come in front of us now, because they're going to follow. It's Rexon and some of the staff of Djuma, which is nice to see. I always think it's such a good thing for people that work here to get out into the bush, to actually experience it, because it's something that if you're a chef or a housekeeper or you work in the bar, if you don't appreciate the wildlife and you work here, then it's kind of counterintuitive. So I always think it's a great opportunity for people to get out and get to see wildlife and learn to love it. And who knows, maybe that triggers them to go on to becoming a guide and protecting wildlife and educating families and things like that. And so I always think it's a great thing to have staff every now and then go on what we call a bumble to learn about things. Right, doggies, where are you going to go? I'm kind of hoping that they head straight down this road. and I know it's going to kind of take them not into Djuma, but at the bottom of this road is a really big open clearing as well, and it's a perfect place for the pack to hunt. And judging by the stomachs and the size of the kind of tummies on everybody, they're hungry, they're looking desperately for food, and so if they go down this way, they definitely should find impalas down the road. Where that will take them, I'm not quite sure, but it will be absolute chaos if they do run into those impalas in the open clearing. And I like it when it's on clearings because it's much, much, much easier to follow what's going on. When these guys are at full tilt through thickets, it can be really, really tough to pick them up. And I'm intrigued to see what their reaction is. You can see there's been a lot of scent marking, so dogs veering off the road and marking on either side. And that's because the Sands pack was here the other day. Heather, how many wild dogs form a pack? Well, I think anything over 2 really is a pack of dogs. I mean, it's, anything in a multiple. But, pack sizes range from 2 individuals all the way up to the biggest pack in Kruger at one stage this year after denning season was 41 dogs. So that's quite large. There have been cases or recorded cases in the past of dogs packs that go over 60, 70, but that's very, very seldom these days. You don't see that very often. In fact, I haven't heard of that in the entire time I've been guiding. Most of the pack sizes that we see are generally between sort of, I'd say, 5, 6, and then up to about 20. That's kind of the range that we normally see. But you can get bigger ones than that. The most dogs I've ever seen on Djuma was it was 2 packs that came together in a massive territorial fight. And so on the same road, in the same picture, we had a pack of 31 and another pack of 16. So it was 47 wild dogs on the same road. It was on Gari Main, and they chased each other all over the place. And by the end of the morning, there was literally a wild dog on pretty much every single road across the entire traverse. It was amazing to see how quickly they split, and in fact it got so crazy that we eventually ended up with a leopard and wild dog sighting, cheetah and wild dog sighting, and lions and wild dog sighting. So these dogs split so much that they bumped into every other predator that was out here, and the cheetah wild dog sighting was unbelievable. We had these dogs, one dog being chased by a mother cheetah and her cub, and that cheetah almost caught that wild dog. It was amazing to see how quickly that dog moved. It showed some serious speed that I didn't think they would be capable of, and managed to kind of get away. Shame, that dog that's limping, but that little limp has it's almost got some joy to it in a way. I mean, if it wasn't limping, you would think that it would be the happiest dog alive, the way that it's kind of skipping down the road, but obviously that's not something that it should have. It's just so weird that it has this kind of repetitive 2-step and then jump. Normally, a limping dog, the gait is quite even, but it seems as though it's got a 2-hop and then a jump that takes place. You can see the dogs, most of them have turned into Djuma, though, unfortunately for us, just because, like I say, that open clearing is further down the road, and when they go back into Djuma now, it starts to get quite dense quite quickly, although there is a smaller clearing that's not too far from here that does sometimes house a fair amount of impalas. So let's go and just see. I'm just going to go forward a little bit just to try and catch up with the dogs. I wonder if they're not going to come back onto the road itself and carry on. They're all coming back again. Obviously there was something of interest to smell. Now earlier I had tracks from this morning during the rain of a female leopard on this road, crossing this road here and going that way. So I don't know if maybe that's what they picked up the scent of, and that's why they went down and then now coming back. I'm not 100% sure. Sometimes when wild dogs pick up the scent of something like a leopard, they'll actually be quite sort of proactive in following it, because that can sometimes lead to some semblance of food. Shame, little one. Heartbreaking when you see an animal that's injured. I don't like seeing injured animals. It's the worst part of our job. Everybody always kind of, thinks that we have these amazing jobs, and we do for the most part. We obviously get to see amazing things regularly, and there's a lot of joyful moments, but we also have a huge amount of kind of moments like this where your heart just kind of goes out to this little animal and you wish it all the best and hope that in some way that suffering and pain can disappear at some point, and it heals, or the animal gets caught by something. I know that sounds terrible, but in some respects, when you think about it, you just think, well, maybe it's better off that way. But it seems to be functioning, and so as long as that's happening, hopefully it will heal and everything will be all right. Isn't this cool though? Just watching these little white bums and tails kind of bobbing down the road. I think it's epic to follow the dogs. I always enjoy it. You never know also what's going to happen with them. At a moment's notice, it can go from this calm, relaxing evening to absolute pandemonium and dogs running in 4 million directions. So it's kind of always the anticipation with these guys as to what could happen next. I think we're just going to stay on the road because ultimately it just seems like they kind of off the road to marked territory and then back to the road. Right, now while we have a moment's hiatus in these guys trotting, remember that if you want to become a part of our Explorers Club, you can, and that this evening we're actually going to be doing a fireside chat for those that have joined the Explorers, and it will be all about the kind of highlights of 2020 in terms of animal sightings from all of our locations. It promises to be a lot of fun. Tricia and I will be doing it, and so we should have a good time, and hopefully we'll see quite a few of you there. Luckily, we won't get bombed by the dogs for our fireside chat because sometimes they go to quarantine, but we're luckily quite far from quarantine, so I don't expect us to be kind of have uninvited visitors in the form of these guys, but we probably will have the odd hyena. I'm sure Swazi will be around. He generally is kind of bumbling about quarantine in that period of the day, and so I wouldn't be surprised at all if he joins us for our chat this evening. All right, let me catch up with them because they're starting to put a bit of distance on us again. It's amazing how quickly they just get away from you. You kind of think that they're just ambling, but they cover so much ground so quickly. It's unbelievable. Pretty crazy as well that we've got them kind of to ourselves. There's one other car that's in the sighting, and they kind of being very, very kind to us at the moment, and just they're running parallel with the dogs, so their view isn't as good as ours, and they're giving us an opportunity to see them nicely, which is incredibly kind. And that's the nice thing about being out here, is we all work together to try and kind of give each other the best that we can. I think these dogs are going to start running properly now. It seems like the pace has just picked up. You see, look how the pace is going up now. Everybody's on a bit of a mission to get somewhere. I don't know if maybe there is a prey animal that's been spotted somewhere, or if there's something that's gotten them going. Look at this dog with the limp, how it runs. You wouldn't even know. I mean, it's got a little hop slightly, but when it's at full run, it does pretty well. It's amazing. It's so mobile. For those of you that thought that a little dog with a bad injury like that couldn't keep up, this is very good evidence of how well this dog does. And you see how the adults every now and then just stop, let this dog catch up, and then it goes, and then it stops, and they let the dog catch up. I think it's incredible, the pack dynamic that you get with these guys. And a lot of the dogs that are stopping are not the actual mother or father for that little one. They're just parts of the pack that are making sure that they're waiting for the most vulnerable member. Okay, so we're approaching that open clearing now. It's not too far. I'd say it's about another 300, 400 meters. But the speed at which they're running should mean that they get there pretty quickly. And I would be very, very, very surprised if there's not impalas there. And then from there, it's about 100 meters onto the big open clearing at Chitwa Dam. So it's not a long way at all to where we think there should be some sort of prey animals for these guys to be able to kill. I think what we're going to do is we're going to let the guys that were so kind to us go in front for a little bit so that they can see the dogs and don't have to drive kind of off-road. It's a lot bumpier when you go off-road. So we're going to let them kind of go in front and let them kind of have a nice view, and we'll sort of leapfrog around for a while. Awesome though, isn't it? I'm going to try and see if I can actually get ahead of the pack and see if we can get them from the front for a little bit. There's going to be a car that's going to come in front. Like I say, you've got to be kind to others and let others also have a view, that's for sure. I wonder if there's also a lot of duiker in this area. They might pick up on a duiker as they go. I'm actually really surprised that we haven't found anything yet. Where we are now, generally at night, because it's a fire break and quite open, we generally see a lot of impalas and duiker and steenbok scattered across here in the late evenings. And they've run pretty much the whole way down this western boundary of Djuma, eastern boundary of Djuma, and yet not a single prey animal has shown its face in the time that we've kind of been driving. Oh, there's a dog behind us. How did that happen? Hi, guys. A whole bunch of dogs behind us. There's the collared individual that's just arrived. And listen to the chaos. Puppies are excited that the adults are back. They were, I think, hoping that maybe they smelt like meat and that there was going to be food for them, but I'm afraid that's not the case. Okay, let's catch up with them again because they're going to start trotting, and that open clearing is quite close. I want to be quite close to them when they get there. Otherwise, we're not going to see which way they're going to run. The way that it tapers is the road kind of bends slightly, and if we're not close enough, we're not going to be able to see which kind of way they go. So as we go, you'll see that the road has a little squiggly line in it, and then it goes over a rise and then drops. As we drop over the other side is what I'm expecting to be full of some prey animals. Waterbuck particularly, and impalas are the two that generally hang around there. It's a bit late for warthogs at this stage. They should be in their burrows and away from marauding packs of wild dogs, so I think they should be safe. The rest, I don't think, are going to have a very good time, that's for sure. That's cool. How many have we got? Let's just double check quickly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I only see 5 adults, which means there's 2 that are not here. Maybe I just don't see properly, but it only looks like 5 of them. Maybe it's still 2 behind us. It's somewhere. Alright, let me catch up with them. Constant with these guys, they don't ever stop moving, and this is why they have to hunt so much. So we talk about them hunting morning and afternoon, and it's because of this high metabolic rate due to the fact that they are constantly moving, and their rate of movement is quick. It's not a slow walk like you see from a lion or a leopard. It's a constant trot, and so they're burning energy all the time when they are moving, and they then have to replace that pretty much all the time as well, which means that you see them hunting morning, afternoon, even sometimes if it's full moon, you'll see these guys on the hunt. It's a bit more dangerous for them because of the likes of lions and leopards and hyenas that are a lot more active in those periods, and that they can't see them coming as easily, but they do still take advantage of those bright full moon evenings. And it's amazing how much you can see on a full moon here. You would think that you can't, but we see an amazing amount. So Aubrey, this is an interesting topic because most books you read will tell you that a wild dog is the most successful hunter in Africa and it has a 70% success rate in its kills. It's not necessarily true. The statistic that they're feeding you is they're talking about a hunting session. So what a hunting session is when they go out, they look for food, and 70% of the time that they actually go out looking for food, they're able to come across it and kill and make an available kill. If we had to compare success rates, though, with lions and leopards, which have very low success rates of about 30%, and you compare it with dogs, it's an unfair comparison because lions, leopards, cheetah single out an individual, they chase, and if they miss, that's the hunt over. All right, and that's deemed their success rate. If you have to single out how many animals a wild dog chases and misses, their success rate would probably be much closer to about 15%, and therefore lower than the cats on a one-on-one basis. Their strength lies in that they chase multiple different prey animals throughout their hunting session, as opposed to a lion, leopard, cheetah that typically chases one, misses, and then settles down and tries again at another point. And so hunting success rates, there we go, this is the open clearing I was talking about, and you see this rate of running has increased exponentially. I don't see many impalas, but let's just try and catch up with them. And just try go around and get them coming out onto the road in front of us. They're going to go into Chitwa open clearing, which is going to be amazing. So I actually don't want to go too far down the road there. I want to see which way they go, because if they come through here, they might drink. There's a little mud wallow here in front, which wouldn't surprise me if they drink there. They're going straight there. Let's quickly just reposition ourselves, because the rest of the pack will come and they will be drinking from this mud wallow. It was where we had a saddle-billed stork earlier, but I doubt that that stork is still here. There's a hyena in front of us as well. There we go. So this is the muddy little pan that's got some water in it because of the rain we had this morning. And you'll see the pack is going to start arriving now. Our hyena made itself very scarce. I think it just saw a whole bunch of dogs coming down the road and then decided, no, I'm not dealing with that. I'm out of here. And it's gone on its own little mission. But look here they come. And what you'll find is they lie in the mud, in the water. So they have a brief little drink, and then they actually lie in it, and that just helps cool them down pretty quickly. Like I say, that metabolic rate goes through the roof, and they get hot very fast, particularly on a warm, humid evening like we have tonight. Lying in the water itself just helps with cooling that body pretty quickly. But listen to their slurping. I'm sure they're going to hunt on Chitwa open area. One of the best wild dog hunts I've ever had was on that clearing. I see most of the adults are going, so let's quickly wait for this adult to come past, and then we'll follow them. I'm pretty sure we're going to see a hunt in the next minute or so, the way that they're going, but we're going to send you across to Tswalu and a bird.
Look who we have here. He's been clucking his head off for the last couple of minutes. This is a male northern black korhaan. We're commonly seeing the red-crested korhaans all over, but this is a northern black korhaan. He has like a little display perch. So he's either on a rock or a termite mound or some kind of an area where he's got a little bit of a high vantage point, and he'll typically come and call in the same place every day. He averages in the middle of the day calling 10 times an hour, but in December, in the breeding season, early in the morning, he's calling over 210 times per hour, is what the book is saying. So he must get really, really hoarse. There he starts. I'm going to just keep quiet if he... Oh. Sometimes he'll call more prominently if he sees a female, and also if he sees another rival male somewhere that flies straight up. So they do a similar display to the red-crested korhaan, but what they'll do is they'll fly up and they'll fly around, squawking and squawking and squawking in a circle, and then with their wings open and their legs down, they'll slowly come straight down towards their perch again and land. And they're protecting sort of a display area of about 200 to 300 meters. I'm just going to keep quiet. Wow, I'd be hoarse after that. And he does that 210 times in the December season. So he is looking for females, and he'll mate with a female as soon as she comes in and she shows interest in him. He will do a little bit of a display, he'll mate with her, and then she'll move on and she'll go and lay the eggs somewhere in a sort of a ground scraping, and then he'll keep looking for other females. So he's actually polygamous, which means he will mate with multiple females. And that's often, birds that are polygamous will have a display area because they don't have to chase a female, they don't have to necessarily help with raising of the chicks. All they do is contribute to the sperm, and then the females will raise the chicks by themselves. So the polygamous birds, there's no investment in the breeding or in the youngsters, in the chicks. They'll just stand in one spot. It's often referred to as a lek or an arena. So there are other birds that you might have heard in the background. One was a clapperlark, an eastern clapperlark. He also has quite an interesting display. He goes, but that's his actual wings hitting each other. So they're clapping, and then on his downward spiral, he has that little sharp little whistle that as he comes down. Really, really pretty. I wish him the best of luck. We were hoping that he's going to shoot straight up and do his little flyby territorial, but generally he has to see other males doing it. So I didn't get the name there, but I did hear the comment that it was a beautiful bird. I absolutely agree with you. Look at he's basically in his finest dress. That's his tux. He's trying to attract the ladies, and the female is a completely dull brown, completely different looking bird, and she's just got those darker colors, the browns, for more cryptic coloration for the camouflage if she is sitting on the nest. So he comes out in his dress white almost. A beautiful red beak, a nice little white ear covert. He's got little shoulder patches. But the detail and the definition on those feathers on the wings are amazing. I think he knows we're watching him because he turns left and right. Nice little sun gleam in his eye. So they forage mostly for insectivores and a very, very wide variety of insects. But at the moment he seems to be more focused on trying to find a mate. Some really chirpy birds in the background. That's that. If you got that background sound, there was a clapperlark that was calling again. That one. They're so quick. It's also generally one of the ones that's quite difficult to get them doing their display. Oh, I'm going to keep quiet for a minute. A little bit. Oh. I was about to say a little bit shorter than the previous time, and he carried on. So we wish him the best. We hope he finds these lady. We're going to carry on heading west into the sunset.
So these lions have all moved off to the left, except for this male that's in front of us. His brother chased him away from the female and the two youngsters, and he's come and lied on this termite mound here in front of us. Some flies above his head that he's trying to bite there. The sun is now completely under, and it's getting dark very, very quickly. He just turned his body earlier and was looking over our shoulders here, but look at that, he's actually settling down. Him and his brother walked quite a long distance this afternoon and came for that big drink, and you can see he is now settling down a bit. I think waiting for the rest of the lions to move. They've all settled down, spread out all over the big dried out watering hole to our left hand side, but we can't really see them from where we are right now. But look at this male just falling asleep. It's nice and cool. You can imagine that little spot that he's got that's raised there has a bit of wind blowing onto him. Must be nice and cool with a little bit of breeze. Just his tail flicking around, chasing some flies off. But I think we are going to stick around and see what they get up to.
So welcome back to And Beyond Ngala, everyone. And we have now moved away from the watering hole. Unfortunately, we didn't see the elephants drink. They were in and out and crossed over our eastern boundary into the Manyuleti Private Game Reserve. But we've come into the one of the more open areas in the south, and it is absolutely beautiful this evening. In picture, we've got a nice herd of wildebeest, and if you look sort of second, third from the left, you can see there's a tiny baby in amongst this herd of wildebeest. And although it's still very young, you can see it's got quite good footing already, and it's able to move around a lot. It's already probably around 2 weeks old. That's when we first started seeing calves on the property. And if you have a look at your screens, you'll see the picture's changed a little bit, and that is because we have changed to infrared lighting on the camera, which makes a world of difference. Had we not had this technology on the vehicle this evening, we would not want to view these animals, because it is quite dark already, and shining the spotlight on them can temporarily blind them, make them become a little bit disorientated with their surroundings, and then put them at risk. But you can see a nice herd of wildebeest. There's going to be a couple zebra moving around in the background. In the next second there, they're coming into picture. And those are two young stallions that have been chasing each other around for the last 10 minutes or so, biting at each other's tails, really kicking each other. You can see that one at the back is starting to move his head up and down a little bit more. So I wonder if he isn't, he's starting to trot a little bit. But they seem to have calmed down. I think it was just a little bit of playful behavior near the end of the evening. Sun has set completely here at Ngala, and there are lots of animals that have come out into this clearing. Wildebeest, the zebra, and then there are also some impala around, and they are scattered pretty much all over the clearing. And these animals have all come here for the evening to rest. You can imagine not being able to see at night time does not put you in a very good position if there are animals like lions and leopards moving around, because you are put in danger. And you can see the zebras rubbing heads now a little bit. They are still a little bit playful this evening. But just being out in the clearings, large aggregation of animals, lots of wildebeest, lots of impalas and a couple zebra, it just means the more eyes, the more ears, the more safer that these animals will feel. Oh, listen carefully. I hope you can all hear that. We've been trying all afternoon to get these little creatures on camera. They are two black-backed jackals, and it sounds like there might even be a third one in the valley, and they've been coming right past our car. And as soon as BK gets the camera on them, they disappear into the bush. So it's really quite nice to hear them calling. It sounds like they might just be communicating between the small family group that we know lives in these clearings. There are 3 of them. They've had one pup this year that has been, they've reared it successfully, probably about 7 months old now. Such a beautiful sound to hear. It's not a sound that you will often associate this part of the world with Kruger National Park. There are jackals here, but not an enormous amount of them, so we don't tend to hear them as many as somewhere like the Free State and the more open farmlands in that part of the world. Also 2 young impala rams just to the right here, BK, that are starting to butt horns. And then they've chased each other again. So we'll see if they do come into contact again. And they're also just sparring a little bit this evening, just practicing their fighting skills before bed. Well, the wildebeest doing the same. So lots of interactions. You see that wildebeest drops right onto his knees as well. And the jackal, there we go. Fantastic, well done, BK. There's that little black-backed jackal that we just heard calling. See how the impalas and wildebeest are not... Oh, there's 2 of them there now. Very cool. Impalas and wildebeest not worried about them at all. The adults, wildebeest, being very protective over their young, so they won't let those jackals get too close to their youngsters, and if they do, they'll chase them away. Whereas the impalas, there are no young ones around. We've just seen impala rams. See how they're running up and down there. They might be assessing the opportunities. The other day we did see some jackals, and it was the first time I've ever seen them, where they caught a baby impala. 3 of them. It was quite an amazing scene. If there had been some babies around here tonight, I think that could have been an option for us, but just by the fact that there are no young ones around, only young wildebeest, which the adult wildebeest will protect against. If you have a look at the jackal, you'll see it's got that nice saddle on its back, that black and grey colour on the top of its back and shoulder. That's why it's called the black-backed jackal. And have a look carefully at its tail. You see how it's got that black tip to the end of its tail. Quite a nice distinguishing feature for the 2 species of jackal that we get in this part of the world. The other being the side-striped jackal, which has a very prominent white tip to the tail. The side-striped jackal, however, we would not expect to see in clearings like this. It tends to spend its time in more denser areas, a little bit more woodland, where the black-backed jackals really do enjoy these nice open clearings. So special to be able to watch these animals without disturbing them at all, not putting the lights on them, going about their natural behavior. So Brad has asked quite an interesting question, what impalas do when they sense fear. And Brad, that will depend on what sort of threat or fear they sense. So imagine something like a jackal. We've seen them, they haven't done too much. If this were, for instance, a leopard moving through and the impalas picked up on the scent of the leopard or potentially spotted him moving through the bush, they'll stand quite tall, quite proud and alarm. They'll let off this alarm, which is quite a prominent snort through their nose, and it will tell the leopard that we've seen you and we know you're there, so now you will not be able to catch us. Some other animals, they might alarm for a lion, cheetah occasionally, and then African wild dogs, which Tristan had at Djuma. I don't know if you saw them actually chasing the impalas, but if African wild dogs do chase impala, they tend not to alarm, because the wild dogs really don't mind if they see the impalas don't mind if the wild dogs have seen them or not, because even if they tell the wild dogs that they've seen them with that alarm call, the dogs are still going to run after them, and the impalas will probably come off second best with the endurance that the wild dogs have, able to run down and starve the impalas of oxygen. A couple of wildebeest still feeding, and you can see how their heads are right down on the ground, feeding low. And if you have a look around them, you'll see there's lots of short grass as well. These wildebeest will only feed on short grass. They are selective grazers in that sense, so they choose what grass to feed on. Not in the sense of a lot of other animals that choose specific types of grasses. Wildebeest will feed on any grasses, but they just need to be really short, about 15 centimeters or less, and less in length. But quite a beautiful evening, and I might spend a little bit more time here, see if we don't get these jackals to call again. But it is really special being able to just sit out here. There's a beautiful breeze blowing from the eastern side of us, from our right-hand side, keeping us nice and cool and keeping some of the insects away from us, which is always pleasant. And you can see. So we're going to spend a bit more time here, maybe head on a little bit north from here, but in the meantime we're going to send you over to Deerwald, who has still got some lions.
We are still with this male lion. He's still listening around him. You will notice that we have switched on our infrared. That's why it looks a little bit different, and it's just so that we can view this male lion with low light. So he's listening around, heads up. The other lions are still spread out and lying down off to the side there. This male has just picked his head up and is listening around a little bit. Every now and then, looking around towards the watering hole. I wonder if he can hear some animals maybe in the distance. That's where the herd of buffalo are headed off to. He is actually panting a little bit with those full bellies that they had from drinking all that water that we saw them drink earlier. It is very, very quiet, apart from a few cicadas calling in the background. There's absolutely no sound. Wonder what this male lion is listening to. I think there might be a few ducks and some Egyptian geese that have come down to the water. Oh, there he's lying down. Enjoying his little termite mound there. Stretching himself out over it. It will be interesting to see where these male lions end up tomorrow morning, or where they've ended up by the morning. If his brother keeps on fighting with him and pushing him away from the rest of the pride, he might make his way somewhere else. MG asking what newly matured lion's first hunt would be like. It's quite difficult to say, because with different lions and different individuals it might be a little bit different. For example, one of the sub-adults that's part of this pride the other day they caught a baby warthog by himself. I'm sure the female, their mother, actually chased the warthogs, and then the youngster just chased and grabbed one of the piglets. But often the first few hunts are inconclusive and not successful, and it's only after they've built up a bit of experience and with help of the females of the prides that they become successful hunters. You might just see the other male is actually coming towards his brother here, slowly walking towards him now. Hear the water thickney call close to the water there. Here comes the brother coming to join his brother. Looks like he's heading straight to the water, maybe keen for another drink. Listen to the water thickneys sounding the alarm that he's coming closer. Samantha, you were asking how many prides there are on Pinna. So including this Bayala pride, there's 2 other prides. One that's also in the north of the reserve, and then another that's in this middle section of the reserve, so 3 prides in total. But there's been some lionesses that have been away from the one pride for quite a while, and we're wondering if they are going to form a breakaway pride. But we'll have to see, time will tell. That man going down for a drink again. Must be having those full bellies full of meat that they need to come and drink.
No, I'm
so often.
I'm sweating here. I want to sweat.
You want to sweat more? You want to make more sweat?
Like that.
Listen to the lap wings also alarm calling. To the lions moving around.
What? Hear what I love about this.
So you're going to be
standing with his bum up in the air while he's drinking.
Yeah, and also they
and we see them playing.
Listen, even the scales have gone silent now. Just a few crickets calling, and there's almost no wind at all. It is very, very quiet. There's a bit of a breeze coming over just as I said it.
I'm not watching that. They should.
Make us, Rebecca.
Bex, I already watched it.
Stop screaming.
Do you think I wouldn't do this?
See where the male lion goes from there. If he's done drinking, maybe he'll come and join his brother, yeah? It's incredible how much these 2 males have been drinking. The male that's lying on the termite mound was also at the water earlier, also having a drink.
Nature's cold. It's got a whole life to it. Should I do cross-legged or should I do transverse?
I'm going to roll like this with my glass. Like this, actually. Welcome to Fireside Chapter. Boomala.
But for now, I think we are going to stick around to see what these 2 male lions get up to. And we'll send you over to DJ where he's got some jackal.
We've just come across a Cape Fox den, and there are 3 little pups just running around, cavorting, just having an absolute blast. Mum was here earlier, and she's been trying to leave, but they keep following her, then she brings them back. So she comes into the picture, and then she disappears. So I think they're supposed to stay at home, and she's really struggling to get them to stay at home. So these pups can't be too old. They can typically have 1 to 5 pups, so 3 already at that age are doing really, really well. How cute is that? Just have a look at what's going on. So this will be their little burrow system, quite likely made by a group of ground squirrels that they've seen the opportunity to take as the den. How cute are these? Don't forget to ask any of your questions at #WildEarth. We'll see. So, they're in the hole. They venture obviously further than they allowed, and then they race back to home. Mom seems to have managed to sneak off and leave them here. She's got to go out on her nightly foraging now, looking for little insects and rodents. They're just playing. So play is very important in pups. Play effectively becomes their hunting techniques when they're older. So the pouncing on each other, the grabbing things, the tossing things, digging, that's all part of their learning. Very, very sweet. That's something you see. So it's the only true fox in southern Africa, but you saw them, the one sort of hopping over the other. You see that quite often in wild dogs. Wild dogs will do that as a bit of a dominance display. So you don't know if cave foxes have something similar. They are smaller than jackal. So remember that these are pups, but they already quite big pups relative to the size of their mother. Spend early mornings in the sunlight out of the burrows, and then spend the heat of the day in the burrows. And the typical time to start moving would be around now, sunset, and then right throughout the night. You wonder if they get into trouble if Mom comes back and they're not where they're supposed to be. So Neha has asked a good question. Is their sense of smell inferior to their sense of hearing? I think with foxes in particular, they'd probably be equally matched. Their senses are very acute. They've got very large ears, so that definitely means that their hearing will be very, very good. But they are in the carnivore group, so they will have exceptional senses of smell. And for them, they find food by both. So they'll find food by hearing something scuttling around in the dark, and then sometimes also if it's below the surface by smell. So I would say for these Cape foxes, their senses would probably be equal in strength, because they're definitely both needed. And they'd also have pretty good nocturnal vision to move around at night. Oh. This one looks like he's trying to chase his tail. Oh, catch bugs, catch insects. Yep. Generally, when they're scratching like that, there may be a presence of fleas in the den.
So look what we have managed to find this evening. PK has been asking for 2 weeks now to try and find a leopard at Ngala, and it's incredibly lucky. In an area that I've barely seen leopards at Ngala, we've come across this young leopard. It's not relaxed, so we're quite lucky that we've still got a view of it at all. She did try and sneak off, but have a look at that throat. See how she's breathing quite quickly. I think she might just be trying to cool down. You can imagine in that coat of hers, incredibly hot. So she's looking up, listening. So beautiful. Fantastic find for us here in Ngala. One of the trickiest animals that we look for, and just as we came around the corner, she was just strutting straight down the road. And you can imagine after a nice hot day like today, she's probably been resting up in the shade for most of it. And now she's starting to move around as it's cooled down and as the cover of darkness has come about. Beautiful, beautiful eyes. Can't really see that nose, but can you see how there's two different colors in it? It is quite difficult, but you can see that lighter color in the middle of the nose, and that is just showing us that it is quite a young leopard. I'd guess maybe around the age of a year to a year and 2-3 months old. You can see she's very inquisitive of our vehicle as well. And I just think that's because this specific leopard has not seen too many vehicles in her lifetime. She did try and sneak away and hide, and we were quite patient with her, just waiting to see if she would come out, and we managed to get this beautiful view of her. See, she's yawning now. She's looking around quite tentatively. She'll be moving around this evening, looking to find mom, wherever mom might be. And very inquisitive when they're young like this. They'll move around at night, try to see if they can find any smaller animals to practice hunting, the likes of scrub hares, or even young impala this time of year. It's another reason why they become quite difficult to find, is because those young impala are ideal prey species for them, and there's lots of them around. So if they catch them, eat them quite quickly, and then move off again. Lorna, I am also super, super happy to have found this little leopard. It's been a while since I've seen one at Ngala. She looks like she might be starting to move, but what a way to end off the afternoon. Quite a quiet afternoon. We did have leopard in mind the whole day, and to have just got that little spot of her, I think is super, super special. So thank you so much, and a big, big thumbs up for the afternoon. What a way to end it. I think what we might try to do with the fact that she is still around, we're just going to reverse quickly, quite slowly. I'm going to bring the spotlight out again because we need to make use of the spot to try and find her. And as soon as we get the light on her, we'll go back into the infrared. It's super exciting to have found this little leopard this evening. Let's see if we can't. Oh, there we go. Okay, we're going to go forward. Oh, there you can just see her moving through the grass, but I think what we're going to do, we're going to try to stick with her and see if we can't catch up, but we're going to send you over somewhere else for now.
Join our Explorers program so we can keep on sharing nature with the world. For a monthly subscription, you will have the opportunity to win fantastic Wild Earth expeditions, have access to an animal identification app, receive weekly highlights from our shows, and much more. All the money will go to keeping these live safaris on air, which in turn connects a global population with nature. Wild Earth is launching our brand new Explorer program with an opportunity to win a very special Wild Earth expedition. The lucky winner will get a behind-the-scenes Wild Earth experience at the magnificent and beyond Ngala Tainted Safari Camp. The prize includes a 3-night stay for you and a friend with a chance to sleep out in the unique Ngala treehouse. Become a Wild Earth Explorer and stand a chance to win this and many other prizes. Terms and conditions apply.
My name is Lauren, and I'm currently working in Djuma Private Game Reserve here in South Africa. I love answering your questions during the live safaris. It's my favorite part. It feels like you're on the vehicle with me, and I'm able to teach you exactly what you want to know. If you want to ask a question on Wild Earth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, you must go to the live safari page and ask your question below the live feed.
Join us around the fire as we have our very first Wild Earth Explorers Fireside Chat.
And what that means is that if you are an explorer, we're inviting you to come and join us so we can chat about the greatest highlights of 2020.
We will be chatting about our favorite characters and what they have been up to during the course of this year.
And if you would like to join us, head over to our Explorers page and subscribe. Don't miss out. This Fireside Chat will be on the 13th of December at 7:30 p.m. Central African Time, straight after Sunset Safari.
So these two males are both lying down, one off to the right, and this one right here in front of us is flat as can be with his eyes closed. There's quite a bit of clouds coming over from the south of us. After a hot day like today, I wonder if there's a nice thunderstorm in store for us later this evening. I think these two male lions got put on their place by the female earlier. That's why they've moved away from the cubs and from her as well. Glenn was just joking around and saying that whatever comes down to the watering hole tonight's got a big surprise for them waiting, with these two male lions sleeping here. And the fact that they've got full bellies like this, I do think that is probably quite a valid observation of them sticking around this watering hole for a little bit. They might stick around here, and then much later, once that food has maybe settled down a bit, then I think they might get up and do a bit of patrolling along their territory. They were marking quite a bit when they got here, but I think that was just to display dominance over the female and the youngsters. As you can see, this male here in front of us has not really even moved. Eyes closed completely and as flat as can be. I think after him and his brother being quite busy during the day, they are gonna be around here for a little bit. But I think we are gonna see if we can leave these males. He's just sitting upright a little bit, just his silhouette. And then we're going to send you over to Nick, where he's got a leopard.
The hyena can smell her. Has she moved, huh? Yes, she is. I'm just going to move forward into this clearing. How incredible was that? Just out of nowhere, these two male lions just started roaring. They were fast asleep and just all of a sudden gave out these bellowing roars. Wow, like I said, I think they are going to be heading on a territorial patrol tonight, and that just shows us that they mean business, making sure that all the lions know that they are the dominant males of this territory. Wow, that was incredible. Our patience paid off, sitting and waiting for these males to do something. Oh, that was very, very, very cool. But we are gonna probably leave these males and let them go about their business for the evening. Glenn and I have been absolutely treated to today's sightings, and ending it off with these male lions roaring is just a cherry on top of the cake. So glad that you could all join us, and we will see you again tomorrow morning, nice and early, and we'll see if we can maybe track down these lions again and see how far they've gone.
see you all tomorrow morning.